Good evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world of the platforms. The Gentleman's Sim Racing Club. Great to have you along for the ride. Monday night motorsport. Term 3, week 7, night 1. Here we go again. And it's a marathon night for you because we start at Virginia International Raceway for Orbic Australia GT4 and then make our way over to the Circuit de la Sarthe for a 90-minute hit out of Waste Options GT3 as we bring you the M split once more. Good evening, everybody. I'm Zach Caban. He's Adam Lavis. This is Monday Night Motorsport for the final time in M mode. As Adam was telling me there earlier during the night, we've got one last sole focus on the AM split this season in GT3. It is tonight. We'll do a dual crossover next week with an AM split sprint race and then a pro one, and then we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag with the pro splits in week 9 and 10. Before we get to GT3, let's get stuck into GT4, and there are the conditions for you. The Virginia International Raceway, just over 5.2 kilometres. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 23 degrees, the ambient temperature, 36 on track. And we've got about 25% humidity out there as well. We are on the full course here. It provided us with a belter in Porsche Cup racing a couple of weeks ago. Let's see what it provides in GT4. Big field as per usual. There's the championship standings at the moment. And we can inform you that Sam Muir's on top, 3:15.52 clear of Greg Favell, Sam Chapman in behind him, then Jared Knight, Gary Cousins, Nick Fodiatis and Jordan Malcolm. So it's a smorgasbord of Porsches there in the back half of the top 10. Nick Wood the exception, with Michael Hammond and Oliver Patterson making up the top 10. Let's have a look at the grid for tonight. Sam Chapman and Jordan Malcolm, the front row. Championship combatants left, right and centre here, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Muir and Jared Knight from row 2. Michael Hammond, Nick Wood from row 3. Reece Gosner and Oliver Patterson from row 4. Gary Cousins and Greg Favell from 5. Nick Fodiatis and David Christensen from 6. Paul Wood and Braden Sagassa from 7. And then we go back to Jake Jackson, Joe Baldwin from 8. Liam Banks, who'll join us in the commentary box afterwards, of course, and Russ Green from 9, Stephen Lawrence and Anthony Visma from 10. Then we go back to 11, Aaron Cooper and John Hotlap Merritt, there you go. Aaron Bryan and Jacob Hughes from 12, Mitch McIntyre, Alan Dawson from 13, Matty Brunt and Matty Scholes from 14, Greg Lenazik and also Stephen Brooks from 15, Pete Matson and Phil King from 16, and Scott Craig from 17. 33 starters tonight. We're ready to rock and roll. How good's this going to be? 25 minutes around here. It'll be somewhere in the vicinity of that 13, 14 laps based on the times we're seeing in qualifying. And, of course, there will be a splash and dash somewhere along the way. Strategy's going to play an interesting part here, Adam Lavis, but it's a track that can bite hard if you get it wrong.
Oh, definitely. There's grass everywhere. There's valleys where you get stuck in. I know we were doing some practice yesterday. The traction control on the Aston, if you go off in a spot where you've got to go uphill to get back to the track, the traction control doesn't like going up the grass. So that's going to be fun for some of the guys if they make a mistake. Interesting with the qualifying, though, we've got both Nick and I reckon Sam Chapman have had their best qualifying so far this season, so it'd be good to see them have a good run. And conversely, you said John Hotlap Merritt, it wasn't a very hot lap to be back in the 20s.
No, not at all. Not at all. Very uncharacteristic for him. Unless it's an invert situation, of course, or he's made a mistake along the way. We're ready to go regardless. This is going to be an absolute beauty. The fight all season has been between Porsche and Aston Martin and Mercedes. We expect that to continue tonight. Nick Wood flying the flag for the Bimmers at the moment. I haven't mentioned Dale Sharp. That's a notable absentee, a notable omission from the list tonight. But we're ready to rock and roll. Virginia International Raceway, Monday Night Motorsport. And by the end of this week, we'll know where everybody stands with regards to drop rounds because they start to play a part in the equation at the end of this round. Off and racing, let's do it. Look at the logjam of traffic on the run down towards turn 1, and Sam Chapman's got the jump. Jordan Malcolm slots into second spot. Jared Knight around the outside. Sam Muir gets him back on the inside. Trouble at turn 1. We expected that. 1, 2, 3, 4. See you later. And Joe Baldwin's become a pinata. Oh dear. Trucker. Well, yeah, he'll be saying another word that rhymes with trucker, I would imagine, at this point in time. Can't take a trick. And unfortunately pointing the wrong way on the opening lap. Did get some assistance, it looked like. And it is a circuit that is not simple at all. It's not even deceptively simple. It is tricky. It's undulating. It's off camber. It's fast and flowing in part. tight and technical in others. It's a great racetrack, and it's provided some of the better races we've had on these platforms in the past, Adam.
Even on the two straights, they're not really straight. You're always turning the wheel somewhat.
Yep.
So it's just constantly working at the wheel. You don't really get a chance to really rest properly. Really. Like even here, it's straight. It's a little bit straight here at the alternate pit lane, but then it sort of starts weaving a little bit as you go up the hills.
And you can speak from experience because you were out here in the Porsche race that I mentioned a few weeks ago. Down the back straight we go for the first time, and it's a long drag race down this back straight. Have a look at them, 2 and 3 wide. Good evening to Grant Gill. Always nice to have him tuning in. He's enjoying post-broadcast life at the moment. He's sabbatical, I think we're calling it, aren't we? But it'll be great to have Grant back on deck at some point down the line. Through we go. Reece Gosnell, he's sitting there in 7th at the moment. Under pressure from Oliver Patterson and Greg Favell, trying to go with Nick Wood. Up onto the main straight, one gone. He's right on board with Greg Favell. Outside, inside manoeuvres at turn 1 are always worth keeping an eye on. Deep lunge. Favell can't go, can't get there. Tries to go around the outside, but can't carry the weight, can't carry the momentum, and unfortunately loses a spot as Braden Sagassa goes through. Sagassa's up 5 spots on the opening lap. Russ Green 7, Lawrence Aaron Cooper also up 3 and 4 respectively. Mitch McIntyre and Matty Brun up 6, so too Matty Scholes. Jacob Hughes up 4. Phil King up 7. Still 33 running. Trucker in 32nd position after coming unstuck. So what will race control be having a look at? From that opening lap scuffle, and how many people were compromised by it? Scott Craig off the road. Jared Knight sitting there, 4th place at the moment. And there is Braden Sagassa lurking all over the back of Oliver Patterson. Onto the back straight. Unlike Willow Springs, track limits are going to be an issue here. You're going to have to play fair. If you get a tyre or a wheel on that green stuff on the left and right of the surface, you're going to pay the price. And I'm not talking about the AstroTurf specifically, I'm talking about the grass. Very slippery, very skaty. We've got Matty Scholes there on screen at the moment. Yeah. Schooner Scholes, I like that. I do like that. Had 21 minutes to go, 2 laps gone. In that 1 minute 58 bracket at the moment. Up across the start-finish line, Sagassa putting all sorts of pressure on Oliver Patterson. 1 minute 54 that time around. Patterson to the inside, gets it done. Now, looking at those numbers, Adam Lavis, I'm going to wager that we'll probably only... Oh, Patterson strikes back on the inside, hangs Sagassa out to dry. Very nicely done. I'm going to wager 13 laps here. Because I'm going to round it up to about 1 minute 55 a lap, which is 3 minutes 50 every 2 laps. And that won't shave enough time off the clock. Won't you take a pit stop into consideration to get any more than 13 laps? That's where my bets are hedged at the moment. Might be wrong, but 13 seems to be a number that I'm comfortable with right now. 1 minute 54.116 for Reece Gosnell, the fastest lap of the race. We've got our eyes on this battle between Patterson and Sagassa, and lurking there in behind them is Greg Favell as well. Mick Fodiatis not too far back from that. Good run out of the top corner from Braden Sagassa. We'll have a look at the end of the back straight. Patterson will try and defend it. But Sagassa will get through. Will he take Favell with him? No. That was beautifully set up by Sagassa, but Patterson's there on the inside for the next corner and makes him hang out wide, hangs him tough. That puts Patterson back on the inside, and Favell wants a piece of it as well. Favell's going to be on the inside, but Patterson will have them running as they go through the right-hander. Fodiatis looking to pounce. Favell trying to hang it tough around the outside. Now it's a drag race as they come back up onto the main straight, and have a look at Nick getting the toe here from Oliver. Greg Favell might be hung out to dry at turn 1. Podiatis getting the double toe and then just hanging back.
Fuel saving a bit.
Absolutely. He will be. Tactical. Smooth run so far. Sam Chapman 154.012. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that 13 number actually, because when you think about it, 1 minute 55 a lap. Oh, Nick Wood's off the road. The BMW's off the road. He's dropped 2 spots. There he is. He's about to drop a lot more. Oh, that's a costly mistake for Nick Wood. He's still the best placed BMW on the racetrack, but he's now down in 18th.
Podiatis 2 for 1.
This Nick Podiatis, very nicely done. Got Patterson, got Favell. So gas is broken clear. And that was Podiatis' cue to go with him. He had to stop the rot. Oh, big moment there for David Christensen. And also Aaron Cooper going out in sympathy. Oh boy. Yeah, 1 minute 55 by 12 is 23 minutes, right? Because you take the 5 seconds off the minute and 5:12 is 60, there's your minute, right? So that's 23. It's a minute 54 a lap, so that gets you to 24.54, and then the pit stop splash and dash, that takes you over 25 minutes. So 13's the number tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's play with that. Joe Baldwin, this is what happened to him at turn 1. He got a squeeze job, and then a touch. Same car. Watch him go every way, which way to try and avoid the garbage. Thankfully, we didn't actually get a good shot of it at the start there because of where the camera was positioned, and that's not anyone's fault because at the end of the day, we're not expecting cars to go in all sorts of different directions at turn 1. But the reality of the situation was that we didn't actually see how far across the racetrack they'd pushed. I thought they were actually in the middle blocking the racetrack, but no. That train of cars that were caught in the knock-on effect, that's what happened to Nick Wood, just a straight-up mistake. That saw them push the train out towards the outside of the racetrack, to the outskirts. Worked well. And this is what happened to Christensen all on his own. And Cooper came through with nowhere to go.
Liam got involved too.
Oh, poor Banksy. Can't take a trick, that bloke. Really cannot take a trick. Pit stop activity already underway at the end of lap 4. Christensen's been in. We expected that. Gary Cousins is in and out again. Nick Wood, Greg Lenarzik and Aaron Cooper have all been in, but Aaron Cooper's parked up for the night. His race is done. Scott Craig has retired as well. We're down to 31 at Virginia International, and we've got 16 minutes to go. Sam Chapman leads from Jordan Malcolm with the fastest lap of the race at 1:53.975. Then Sam Muir, Jared Knight and Michael Hammond, who's on screen at the moment. Hiatus is also a very appropriate word, Grant Gill. Yeah, I was actually more thinking about the Mika Hakkinen-inspired sabbatical, as he called it when he pulled up stumps at McLaren at the end of 2001, I think it was. But then obviously sabbatical became permanent, and he didn't come back. So no, I like it. Hiatus, long service leave. Sam Chapman, Jordan Malcolm, Sam Muir, Jared Knight, Michael Hammond in the top 5. There's Paul Wood in the top 10. Up 3 spots. Biggest movers of the night thus far, Jacob Hughes, Matty Brunt, but the field is not cleansed yet. It's not sorted out. We're still partway through the pit stop sequence and cycle. So we've got these guys in a disjointed sort of order because it's nowhere near corrected. On corrected order, the first driver to have gone in, come out again, completed their pit stop is Greg Favell down in 23rd position, 24th now, as Joe Baldwin goes by. So we've still got 3/4 of the field to come down pit lane. Don't forget, we're off to the Circuit de la Sarthe after this. Liam Banks will jump straight out of the cockpit and jump into the booth and join us for GT3 AM from Le Mans. 90 minutes around there tonight. A 3-stop race on the way. There's Paul Wood in 10th place at the moment. Just got your message there, Adam Lavis. I'll have to have a look at it once we get to the post-race show. I know what it's about, but I didn't get to read all of it before it disappeared. The old notification bar, very short, very sharp, very sweet. Sam Chapman, Jordan Malcolm, Sam Muir, Jared Knight and Michael Hammond, the top 5 here. We're watching Chapman at the moment. And Jordan Malcolm going with him punch for punch here. It's Porsche v Porsche. The Mercedes of Sam Muir is bringing the rest of the train along. Then the Aston of Jared Knight. But it's Porsche 1-2 at Virginia. And there's the end of lap 6. And 7 to go. Nice to have you along for the ride. Monday Night Motorsport, second last edition of August. We're back here next Monday night and looking forward to that immensely. We'll let you know where GT4s are going very shortly, but GT3s are off to Phillip Island. We're very excited about that because it's the last of the sprint rounds for the season, for the term. And Phillip Island always produces good racing. It doesn't matter what car we take there, what format it is, it always produces good racing. But I think with the third of the top 10 and the fact that we'll be bringing the second of the pro races, all bets are off as to what might unfold. Gloves will be off. Racing will be red hot. So next Monday night, make sure you're here. Whilst we're going through the motions here, GT4s from Aragon. Thank you, Grant. I've only got 3 monitors on me at the moment. I didn't have the calendar up on any of them. But Motorland Aragon, of course, we've already seen some GT3 racing there. We've already seen some production car racing there. Great little racetrack. Not hosting MotoGP this year. For the first time since it joined the calendar back in 2010. But a great racetrack that's thrown up some good stuff so far. What we also should point out is that we've got an update from pit lane. Greg Lenarzik has pulled up stumps and parked up for the night. He's out. Nick Wood back out on the race. Actually, no, Nick Wood has retired. Nick Wood has retired as well, Adam Lavis. Can we have a look at what might have happened to him if there's an incident on your screen?
It's just it's only got him jumping the pit, so I don't know if there's anything happened before that.
Yeah, copy that. Because he's gone to pit lane for the second time, and that's when he's pulled up shop.
Maybe he got a penalty on the pit lane, possibly.
Possibly. There goes Anthony Visma on the grass, in trouble. Pete Matson in behind him in 19th place at the moment. Top 19 yet to stop. Greg Favell, the best placed of those 2, have stopped in 20th. Jacob Hughes, Stefan Lawrence and Matty Scholes now make their way onto pit lane. We've picked up Jared Knight under serious pressure from Michael Hammond and Reece Gosner. The interesting thing with regards to next week is, Phillip Island and Invert. Can't wait for that. The week after, we're off to Mount Panorama, and then the week after, Road America. Can't ask for a better run home than what we've got starting tonight with the Circuit de la Salle.
So this is an interesting little battle here, back out in the middle of the top 10 here for the round out the 4th, 5th spot. Also, we had the viewer there supporting Matty Scholes. So before his pit stop, he was up 12 or 13 spots. So, and at the time he was the best place to improve. So we usually see once the field cleanses whether that's a genuine improvement for the night. So he could be having a pretty good run.
Might be indeed. Here's Reece Gosner all over the back of Michael Hammond still. I'm just interested to see who's going to pull the trigger at the top end of town and when. I mean, Chapman, Malcolm, Muir, Knight, no one stopped just yet. 2 distinct battle packs opening up here. Third, 4th, 5th and 6th and 1st and 2nd.
Probably be this lap or the next lap will be the pit as they go. I think.
Here we go.
Next lap will probably be the sort of the regular critical, unless you've saved fuel and you might get an extra on.
Copy that. I just found what I was looking for. Thank you, Adam Lavis. Thank you. We'll come back to that a little bit later on. Malcolm, Hammond, Wood and Green all on pit road. So too now Aaron Bryan. It's getting busy. There's no doubt about that. Getting close to the field being cleansed. Mitch McIntyre's a lap down at the moment. He was in pit lane for 1 minute and 15 last time by. We've had 4 retirements. We had 33 starters.
what is interesting with the guys who have pitted, there's very, very varied times. So you got anywhere from from 9 seconds up to 12 seconds. I think Aaron Bryan might have a penalty.
That's a bigger discrepancy than usual, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Aaron Bryan's either got a penalty or he's left his tyres on, one of the two. So he's got issues. He's dropping down like a stone. But yeah, so because it's such a long track, right? Your fuel calculator might be it depends on how you got your fuel calculator set up to how much leeway it gives you lap wise. So if you've got 1 or 2 extra laps in your sleeve, it's probably going to chuck more fuel in than you need. And if you've done your maths manually, you might be able to save some time in the pit lane.
Maybe indeed. Now it's interesting that we're talking about pit stops and a few other things here as well, because we often see a mix of people go long and people go short, but there's a lot of people that are still yet to stop, and we're on lap 9. So we're surely getting to the point of no return with regards to the pit stops here. We can't be too far off. Here they come. Here we go. Chapman, Muir, Knight, Gosner all in. And Sagasa, I'm sure, will be in close tow. There he comes at the top of the screen.
As predicted.
Oh, Fodiatis goes on.
He said yesterday if he was in traffic, he was going to try and save fuel.
Doing well. Doing very well. But yes, there's the race onto pit road, and we're about to see the race off pit road. So many races have been won and lost here in the past. No problems for Sam Chapman. Goodbye. Muir follows, so to Malcolm. Malcolm got the better of Sam Muir. It's right there with Chapman. Jared Knight comes out. Reece Gosner behind him. Michael Hammond slotted into 7th spot and Oliver Patterson 8th. Greg Favell, Paul Wood, John Merritt going well.
So Jordan pitted the lap early, almost undercut the lot of them, so he's done well here.
Oh, actually, no. John Merritt not going well. He's pulled up. He's on the tow rope, I think. Yeah. Interesting for hot lap. Matson, King and Sagasa. So 9 ended up being the critical number. For you. Have a look at this. This is Jordan Malcolm trying to get by Sam Chapman for the lead of the car race. And throwing everything at it. Porsche v Porsche for the P1. For the triumph. For the top spot in Virginia. Week 7 of 10 in this term of racing. Season 14 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Across the line we go. 3 laps to go, this time by the line. Nick Fodiatis into pit lane, onto pit road.
How much under 9 seconds will he stop here? How much fuel he save?
Somewhere between 2 teaspoons of you-know-what and, 3 teaspoons of you-know-what. Across the line we go. That's it. Old mate Nico indeed. Grant Gill would say eyes forward. 9.45. So in essence, scrap the 2 teaspoons and the 3 teaspoons. Just say, Well,
he's giving himself an extra lap, but he's taken an extra lap of fuel.
Yep. So he's just defeated the purpose of the exercise in the first place. All right. It's interesting. Paul Wood there in 10th place at the moment, all over the back of Greg Favell, Oliver Patterson not too far up the road. And then Nick slotted as 7th. So it's actually, it's a net gain. It is a net gain. He's got past Patterson. He's got past Favell. It's not bad. Had a few retirements. John Merritt stuck on pit road after 2 minutes and 17 seconds. He's out of business. That's 5 retirements for the night. Mitch McIntyre's got back onto the lead lap, but by the barest of margins. One more mistake will stuff that. We've got 4.5 minutes to go. We've got 2 laps at the line. The old calculator working okay on a Monday night. Jordan Malcolm to the outside. Jordan Malcolm to the outside. And now trying the up and under as well. Drag race down the back straight. Let's go. It's all happening in Virginia. This is a brilliant fight for top spot. We've seen it all season in GT4. These two can't do anything about the bloke behind Sam Muir, who was 50 points clear in the championship right coming into this race. But they can sort out the battle for bragging rights, that psychological edge of putting a race win next to your name. A confidence booster at the back end of the season. With 3 weeks to go, where every point counts and every race matters. 2 to go. Malcolm to the outside. Malcolm to the outside. Gone! Locked it up! Jordan Malcolm throws it down the road, runs it into the grass. And well deep. Gone! Malcolm will drop down to 6th place. Extraordinary. He loses 4 spots while trying to gain 1. It's a cruel game sometimes. There's an in-joke there that we need to be aware of. Samantha Little. That's Sam Chapman, I think he's talking about. And we'll get to Sam Chapman very shortly. Oh boy. Let's get a replay of this. This was the defining moment of the race. Malcolm went to the outside, went deep, pinched the brake there. Bang, gone. See you later. I was going to say, when I saw Samantha Little, I thought, hang on, we haven't got Stuart Little here. I didn't know Stuart had a sister. Oh, touch, gone. Gary Cousins. Get some assistance. Jared Knight desperately clinging to 3rd at the moment, but Reece Gosner and Michael Hammond are right there. White flag at the line this time by.
So no pressure on Sam, but I think he's had a couple of poles, but this could be the first time he might actually convert to the race win this season.
Yep.
So he's got one big long lap of Virginia with all the corners to get done, with Sam Muir trying to track him down.
And the margin is only 2/3 of a second. Final lap, let's go. 5.2 kilometres left. Barney's actually doing his job for a change. Have a look at that. White flag is out. Next time by the line, it'll be the checkered. Can Sam Chapman finally get a job done in GT4? Or Wood still desperately trying to find a way past Greg Favell? And he might have just... Oh, no. The up and under's not going to work for Paul Wood. I think he got balked mid-corner. Sam Muir's to within half a second of Sam Chapman. Jared Knight's under tremendous pressure from Hammond and Gosner. Gosner's punched out the fastest lap of the race at 1:53.624.
Hammond stuck by Gosner in the first sector.
Here we go.
He's stuck by Gosner in that first sector somewhere.
He did indeed. And now he's out after Jared Knight. This is for the final spot on the podium. Can't really take your eyes off the top 5 at the moment. We've got Chapman and Muir jerking it out. We've got Hammond nearly throwing it away. He's holding on to 4th. He's trying to go with Knight, who's popping in and out at the moment. That'll be frustrating Mikey, no doubt. And we've got Paul Wood all over the back of Greg Favell. No, not yet. Favell just needs to keep it straight and keep it clean. Chapman holding on. Muir throwing everything at it. Photo finish awaits here. It'll all come down to the drag race as they come up onto the main straight. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. Hammond trying to change that and get Porsche in there. And here comes Paul Wood. Down the inside at long last on Greg Favell. Jordan Malcolm's off the road again. Jordan Malcolm's off the road again. Chapman and Muir to the line. The checkered flag waves. Photo finish. Here we go. Sam Chapman's going to get the job done. Knight holds off Hammond. 5th to Reece Gosner, who dropped off in the end. Nick Adiatis and Oliver Patterson next through. And there's an enormous shunt further back because Jacob Hughes and Liam Boakes are also off the road. Jordan Malcolm has got back on the track but has dropped outside the top 10. Patterson comes home 7th behind Adiatis. Paul Wood held off Greg Favell. Russ Green, your top 10. Jordan Malcolm has thrown it away again.
Easy to do there. It's so easy to just run wide there. Here, the traction control doesn't want to let you get back up.
No. Now, let's follow this because the incident with Liam Banks, etc., happened in the same area of the racetrack. Now, was it on the rejoin from Malcolm? No, it was a separate incident, I think. Yep, there it was. See you later.
Oh, it's very synchronised.
Liam was squeezed. He didn't get racing room there, and it was the rejoin, again, because he didn't have racing room that led to the contact. So race control, I'll have a look at that, no doubt. Oh, boy. Hold your breath. That was brilliant.
So,
oh, boy.
Matty Brunt, he sort of stuck with that Joe Baldwin incident at the start of the race, and he still managed to get back up to 13th, so he's had a good run through the field, under the radar. Good work on Matty.
Yep. Very good work indeed. In fact, having a look, 8 positions gained for Russ Green, 14 for Matty Brunt, 11 for Alan Dawson. So there were some big movers tonight. 6 for Matty Scholes, 7 for Pete Matson, 6 for Phil King. In the end, 28 cars got home. Actually, no, Mitch McIntyre did not get home in the end. He did not get home. He was 0.6 of a lap away from getting home and pulled up stumps a lap down, and that'll rule him out. However, he'll get home on 75%, provided that he was still logged into the server. John Merritt's still in pit lane. I tell you what, hot lap, I'm a little bit worried about that because let's go 13 minus 25%, 9.75. Oh, Merritt's lucky. He's still sitting in pit lane, and it's saying 9.95 laps completed. So I reckon we give it to him on that note in 29th place. Retirements for Nick Wood, Greg Lenarzik, Aaron Cooper, and Scott Craig. But yeah, Braden Sagassa threw it down the road late in the piece there with a 50-second pit stop on lap 9, ruling him out of any sort of contention. And Joe Baldwin, a good recovery to get back to 23rd after how it started. But he started 16th, so it's still a loss of 7 spots. Reece Gosner, the fastest lap. Nick Fodiatis, another top 10 finish. Yeah, but Matty Brunt, the biggest mover of the night. So far this season, Sam Chapman, Oliver Patterson, Braden Sagassa, and Jared Knight have picked up our Orbic Australia Commentators' Choice Awards. Let's work out who we're going to give it to this time round. We can't give it to Chabo because he's already had a bite of the cherry there. So with that in mind, yeah, difficult decision for yours truly to make in the next few moments. But Matty Brunt's definitely a candidate, moving up 14 spots. Of that, there's no doubt. Wow.
Deep breath, Zach.
Yes. Sorry, boys. I'm having a look at the GT4 Discord chat thread feed here, so I didn't actually see you guys make your way into central commentary. Josh Zuno's in the commentary box, and I'm not terribly sure why. Hello to you.
How you going, Zach?
I'm well, mate. Were you in race control, or what's going on?
Yeah, I was.
Okay, so you might be able to help us out here. There were a couple of incidents that would have kept you guys on your toes tonight. You wouldn't have been able to take your eyes off the monitor at any point. There was action aplenty.
Yeah, no, it was actually a really good night. There wasn't too many bad incidents. There was quite a lot of good show of redressing and a few no further actions, and there was only really 2 incidents that I deemed were, a little bit untoward and deserved a bit of a penalty.
Punishable, yeah. How are you enjoying the race control role, mate? Because I know, obviously, that's taking away from being one of our main interactors on social media during the broadcast.
Yeah, no, mate. No, I am actually enjoying it. I wasn't looking forward to it when I first started, but, it's for the betterment of the club, and I really feel like people are driving a lot better since I've been in the booth. So, yeah, no, happy.
I think he subtly gave himself a pat on the back somewhat.
I'll take it.
Somewhat suggesting that his presence in the booth has also been rewarded with an up scale of the driving standards. Very nicely done. What's next for you, please, mate?
Not too much. I am not driving all that much, but Friday nights I like to do a bit of dabbling, trying to keep my toe in the actual cockpit instead of just in the RC booth. But yeah, no, just doing a bit of social media stuff and not too much.
Are you in RC for GT3 as well, or?
No, I'm not. I
No.
let Lee and Kev do
Yeah.
them.
Oh, very nicely done. Hey, mate, thanks for stopping on by. We do appreciate that. Please make it a more regular occurrence because we always like to get Race Control's take on things. Thanks for that.
My pleasure. Cheers, Jack.
Liam Banks, it's very hard to avoid an incident when you run out of racing room.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I think... Oh, no, I don't know if the stewards have looked at it or not. Neither of us called it out. It was a bold move around the outside. I knew it was no probability, but I thought worst case scenario was like go off onto the grass. So I went for it, and then I thought the first part was pretty good, and then I only looked at it once, so I've only had one chance to look at it. But it looks like he beelines for the next apex, and I just don't have enough space. So I've given the benefit of doubt and thought that he was given the benefit of doubt that he thought he was just about ahead because it was pretty close. But yeah, these things happen. I think it was worth the move, and hopefully he doesn't feel too bad about it. We both lost some positions, and these things happen. I'd rather have the memory of the overtake than just settle for wherever I was for 13th.
Yeah, that's fair, especially when you're already that far down the order. Hey, well done, mate. Stand on by. We'll get back to you very shortly, and looking forward to your thoughts and insights when we get to GT3 AM from the Circuit de la Sarthe very shortly. Adam Lavis, I reckon 2 votes, Matty Brunt, for the Commentator's Choice Award, only because, for no other reason, the biggest move of the night, and he did it without grabbing our attention at all. He flew under the radar, so that's what makes it most impressive. In my regard, or in my opinion, because of the fact that there was action aplenty out there tonight, and he didn't seem to get involved in any of it. So Matty Brunt's my vote tonight. Let's continue on the post-race show here, and let's welcome in Sam Muir and Sam Chapman. Chapo, well done, mate. Fantastic result for you. A great win, and a much-needed one as well when you look at the state of play in the championship here. I mean... That was no doubt a pressure cooker situation there for you in the last couple of laps. First, you had to fend off Jordan Malcolm, who locked it up and exited stage left. Then you had Sam Muir charging home with a wet sail. How's the heart rate and the blood pressure after that, please?
It's slowly declining now. But yeah, it was pretty high in those last couple of laps, particularly when I came out in front of Jordan. This was the one week I hadn't practiced my pit stops either, so I was a bit stressed about that.
That's the first thing. That's trademark 101 Nick Fodiatis commentary. It's the first thing he says to practice when you get out on a racetrack.
I know. I was practicing the lap times, and then right at the end of quali, I went, oh crap, I haven't practiced pit stops, so I was just hoping it wouldn't end in time so I could do one practice on the way in. Yeah, no, it was great today. It's finally got that drought and got that win, so I'm stoked. But of course, Sam's in there in second with the 0x as well, so it's going to be a difficult climb to get in.
Oh well, that's 100%. And when he comes into the 7th round of the season with a 52-point lead, I mean, drop rounds get added into the equation tonight, so that'll make things interesting final 3 rounds of the season. But, I mean, it's still a situation where you've got to finish and you've got to make every post a winner if you absolutely can because of the tightness and the close proximity of everybody around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would certainly tighten up with the drop rounds, given my couple of drop rounds are garbage, and he's been very consistent, but it still won't quite be there. So it'll take a lot. But yeah, tonight's a great result for it. And yeah, I might jump in the GT3s now. I'm running on a bit of a high.
Yeah, why not? I mean, Circuit de la Sarthe, horsepower heaven, go for it. Mates, as you said, got the monkey off the back. That gives you a nice little confidence booster. Aragon's the next stop, which is a circuit, again, that we're still getting our head around. It's new to the server. It's produced some good racing in other categories thus far. 25 minutes of GT4 next Monday night should be real good fun.
Yeah, it should. I think it'll be a good track for these two. Lots of overtaking area. Yeah, I mean, you struggle not to get off tracks around there, and I'll have to find some pace because it wasn't that quick when we did it for production cars. But yeah, good track. I think it will be fun.
Excellent, mate. And what is getting the monkey back off the back do for you from a confidence standpoint as a racer?
Well, we'll find out. It was starting to get to me though. When I got 3 second places last week, it was sort of just like, I haven't had a broadcast first since like October last year. I think that takes off a little bit of pressure, and hopefully we can run from here.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. And getting Porsche back to the top step of the summit on a night where 3 manufacturers finished in the top 3. Well done.
Thanks, well done.
All right, well, let's press on here because we've got Joe Baldwin standing by. We've got Nick Fodiatis, Paul Wood as well. But I want to go to Sam Muir because essentially when you have got a 52-point championship lead, mate, you didn't have to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Sam Chapman tonight. But at the end of the day, a racer is a racer, and that's the intuition, is to go hell for leather for P1. Close but no cigar, but at least the championship equation is in real good stead for you with 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, it's not looking too bad, but yeah, as you said, we're all racers, so we're all here to get the W, and I've only had the one myself so far this season. It's just been consistency and a bit of good luck that's resulted as being up at the front. So yeah, tried to chase Sam down there towards the end, but that Porsche was just far too quick in a straight line for us, so had to settle for P2.
And this is the thing too, like it's a challenging racetrack at the best of times, but when everybody's so evenly matched, overtaking opportunities were, even though there were legitimate, genuine places where overtaking was absolutely on the cards tonight, the opportunity to do it wasn't presenting itself terribly easily.
Yeah, that's it. And with the way that the BOP's working as well, the Mercs really, it's got a bit of an advantage on corner entry and mid corner, but then it just gets left behind on corner exit. So you lose a couple of tenths down the straight, and then you don't really get it back into the braking zone. So, and in a GT4 car, you sort of had to be within at least 1 or 2 tenths to have a proper go at an overtake, and we just weren't able to bridge that gap tonight. But yeah, that's just the way that it goes, and well done to Sam on the win.
What about the lip service in the comments here from Oliver Patterson, just quietly saying that he's coming for you, Sam? I don't know whether he's talking about Muir or Chapman. It could be both. Sam squared, maybe. But there's a young star on the rise, actually, coming home in 7th tonight, just behind Nick Fodiatis, who we'll get to in just a moment. But you're right, Sam. The next couple of weeks, we're usually due for a BOP update around this time of the season as well. So I know everybody will be on edge about that. The other thing as well, mate, Aragon's an unknown entity for the GT4s, and then obviously 2 rounds beyond that, anything could happen. And we've always come to expect the unexpected in GT4, so you won't be resting on your laurels here. You know that you need to maintain consistency over the next 3 weeks if you want to lift the crown and the title at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Going to be on holidays next week, so I'll miss Aragon, unfortunately, and already had 1 round taken up by an ordinary result, so that will definitely put the pressure on for the final couple of weeks. It'll be super important to not make any mistakes from here, and once both those drop rounds come into it, it's going to be very, very tight up at the top between myself and the rest of those Porsches, Greg Favell, Jared Knight. It's going to be anyone's race, that's for sure.
And it's not like we've got easy tracks to finish it off either. I mean, from Aragon, we go to Suzuka, and then from Suzuka, we go to Magny Course. So, I mean, 3 different countries, 3 different weeks, and 3 completely different racetracks that will shake things up and provide a nice little challenge. Magny Course will be a 45-minute race as well. So, I mean, there's plenty to look forward to with regards to the 3 weeks ahead. But how much time do you need to put in off track in preparation mode, in practice mode, I should say, to get your head around those 3 tracks before we get there?
Yeah, I love Suzuka, so really looking forward to the penultimate round. But yeah, Magny Course, haven't done too many laps around there. So, and given that it's an enduro with the extra points on offer as well, and considering how close it is at the top of the tree, yeah, definitely going to be having to put in a little bit of extra pracky, I think, for that final round. But yeah, fingers crossed.
All right, mate. Well, enjoy the week off. You miss out on Aragon, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table. Hopefully nice and refreshed in weeks 9 and 10. Thanks for that, and well done tonight.
Yeah, cheers, guys. I'll be tuning in, so hopefully it's a good race.
Stick around because we'll have updated championship settings very shortly, I'm sure, as well. Paul Wood, welcome into you. Not a bad result, mate. Up 5 spots from lucky 13 to P8. And finally, not getting caught up in early incidents and being able to push your way forward. It's the Paul Wood of old, and a good fight there with Greg Favell, and you got him on the last lap.
Yeah, the the Bailey Ladders Aston was a real handful around this track. It's my race plan was just to survive, but ended up with a good battle there with Greg at the end. But yeah, staying out of trouble. Gave me a bit of room to just keep the car under me and try and keep my head cool, and yeah, managed to get some spots, but I'm managing to qualify a little bit higher than usual, so it's struggling to get those extra positions, but I'm enjoying the battle, and the car's providing a very big challenge this season, more than I would like, but overall not too bad with the round. I'm pretty happy with it.
And what will be interesting too, mate, I mean, you and Jared Knight are the only soldiers flying the Aston flag at the moment anywhere in this field. It'll be interesting to see how it stacks up against the Merc and the Porsche over those next 3 venues on screen there.
I'm actually just sitting here as well discussing them there, and I'm after tonight, I'm thinking it's going to be a real struggle, but as usual, I'll see what I can come up with, maybe find a silver bullet or something, and try and find some pace, but yeah, we'll see how we go. At the moment, I'll take it week by week and just see what I can do.
All right, mate, very nicely done. And what's your next assignment, please?
At the moment, I think it's just hopefully going to do the F3s on the Friday night, but yeah, I want to try and get back into doing something else at the moment, but at the moment, I just got another surgery on the way this week coming up, so once I get all that out of the way, I should hopefully be getting back to nearly 100%. All things going well, so yeah, hopefully we'll start to see some better results and get into a few more races during the week coming up.
Well, fingers crossed, touch wood, that everything goes well with the surgery, mate. We know they're often fraught with danger for very obvious reasons, because the human body's a fragile thing at the best of times, and I know that. But hopefully, all being fair and equal, that goes well, and we'll see you back on the grid very shortly. Thanks for stopping by and having a chat to us tonight, and well done on getting back into the top 10.
All right, thanks, guys.
So, Nick Fodiatis, welcome into you. Much better than last week.
Yeah, good evening, Zach. Yeah, the Bailey Ladders Porsche was hooked up around here. I quite enjoyed it. Qualifying, I have to say, though, you bust your gut trying to get the extra 10th here and there, and even around a long track like this, I was tied for a particular time at one stage, and it dropped from 8th down to 15th or something. You have to go find another 2 tenths from somewhere and keep going again. And and you can see there, what did I qualify? 9 tenths off, almost a second off the pole. But you just look how tight it is.
Yeah, 2 tenths of a second, if that, between Reece Gosner in 7th and you in 11th. Quite extraordinary stuff.
2.5 tenths would have had him starting 5th in front of Mikey.
Yeah, exactly.
And on my final run, I had a tow from one of my teammates, from Dave Christensen. And then my usual thing, ran out of fuel in the final chicane there. So, and I was up 2 tenths. It was like, damn it.
But in saying that, though, mate, it's far better when you don't throw it down the road and go bush bashing like you did at Willow Springs.
I wasn't in the bush. I was playing in the sand. But yeah, look, I mean, this racetrack, there's lots of runoff, but it's fraught with danger around this place. And I was keeping a clean nose. I did an opportunistic move. I don't know what lap it was, where I believe Favell and Ollie were having a ding dong all through this part of the track. And they buggered each other up coming onto this straight here, and I just zipped up the inside and I got in front of them. And then I literally ran the car dry, so I got to lead a lap. Yes, but yeah, I don't know if this is it here, but yeah, I got to lead a lap, and so yeah, it was actually good to just have some clear bit of track. I had 19 seconds on the leaders, and then it worked out that oh, look at my teammates, all of us there.
Well, in saying that, though, Nick, we were a little bit surprised. There it is there, indeed. The sea's just parted very nicely for you. But in saying all of that, it looked as though, even though you did save a little bit and were able to go the extra lap, it didn't actually save you any time in the box itself.
No, I I still came out with 3 litres too much at the end of the race.
There it
So I did run out on the way in, well, on the way to the box in pit lane. But I was saving because didn't have the pace to get those front 5. But you know, saving some fuel, get that extra lap. I did still come out in front of Oliver, which was the goal in the end. But I never closed the gap to the guys in front. And then fortune favoured me, and Jordan had some issues, and I got the extra spot.
Indeed, you did, and that was very nicely done. Had to fend off that hard-charging young gun, that young bloke Oliver Patterson, though. He's impressive.
Yes, he is. I was actually taken aback because I'm going, there's a black car, and I'm so used to him being in the Hot Wheels car. So under the radar there, because the Hot Wheels car you can see from a mile away. But yeah, once I figured out it was him, I knew where. I just had to push. So in the final stint, come out with 3 litres too much. So I didn't want to run the risk around here because the track's so long. But I'll be trimming it again next week.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Looking forward to Aragon, and looking forward to seeing you there. A very impressive run tonight, and looking forward to seeing you hopefully finish the season in strong fashion, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Appreciate it.
Got to rock and roll here because we're about to get to GT3 from the Circuit de la Sarthe. We've got Graham Banks and Joe Baldwin standing by. Trucker, of course, not running GT3 because you know how he feels about those cars, so we'll get to him in just a moment. Sam, you're 292, lead Sam Chapman, 274. 243 for Jared Knight, 228 for Greg Favell, and then 198 for Jordan Malcolm, 196 for Nick Fodiatis and Oliver Patterson. Geez, they were glued together on the racetrack and glued together on the points table. 194 for Mikey Hammond, 190 for Gary Cousins, and 148 for Nick Wood, despite the retirement tonight. So there we go. All right, Joe, couldn't have started any worse, but at least you're able to salvage something.
Yeah, look, the only thing I got right in the end tonight was my fuel strategy. I finished with like 0.4 litres in the tank, but no, it was look, there was some positives in my qualifying pace for a change. And I mean, 15th doesn't sound too exciting, but for me, as far as qualifying in the field with the depth of talent we've got here, I thought that was pretty good. But typical turn 1 at VIR, and you know, one guy had a bit of a lunge there, and I didn't see him coming because I was making sure I didn't clatter into anybody else at turn 1, lap 1 of a long race. But that's all right. That's racing. We'll come back and we'll have another go next week. Maybe if I'm feeling up to it. Will depend. I'm a little bit like Woody. I've got surgery coming up this week, so I don't know whether I'll be back in racing at all this week. We'll see how we go. I should be right for next week though. But
well, let's hope it all goes well for you as well, Joe. The old GSRC ward's full of the walking wounded at the moment. Of course, we detailed Greg Padgett the other night. We know that's been coming for a while.
I haven't heard how his recovery's going, but I hope it's all going well.
Hopefully he'll be tuning in and chiming in at some point and letting us know himself. But yeah, no, Definitely. Good luck to Greg because we know that he's been waiting for that for a long, long time, and it had been a frustrating sort of mongrel of a process, but finally some good news on that front for him last week, as Brendan Van Ryn told us on Thursday night. Trucker, we'll be seeing you Thursday night, and we're looking forward to that. I mean, the Porsches are always entertaining. They have been right throughout the course of this season. But as far as GT4s are concerned, if you get to Aragon, you've had a dabble around there in the past. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Aragon's a fun track, and I want to say thanks to Matto for the team support there with the Bailey Ladders team. So yeah, thanks for the shout out there, Matto. Aragon's a fun track. I think it'll suit the GT4s. I don't know how well it'll go for the Aston. It's a very horsepower heavy track. So, but there's a lot of corners in it. So we'll do the best we can. We'll get in next week, and we'll definitely be back for next week. We'll see how we go.
All right, mate, very nicely done. How's Mountain Men going, please? I believe you had a double around there on Saturday night.
We did, we had the GTEs there the other night, and it was a great race. We ended up, I think, had just over 20 21 or 22 cars, I think, took the green for the start, and that was club members and non-club members. It's open to all iRacing members now for the remainder of the Mountain Men Series. As a bit of a drive to try and get members back to the club and that sort of thing. So, yeah, but no, it's been going great guns. It's been some good racing, and even people coming in to join us have been nice and clean. So, it's been going great guns. You got the F4 this Saturday night, so that always puts on good racing, the F4. So that should be a good night.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Thank you to you for stopping on by and having a chat. Are you sticking around with us here, Joe, or not?
No, mate. No. GT3s, and especially at Le Mans, I'm afraid.
No. I was more referring to. I knew you weren't driving. I was more referring if you were sticking around with Liam Banks and I or not. But no, that's all right. Question asked and answered. Thank you.
I've got with what's going on Wednesday. I've got a couple of things I've got to go and get organised. So
very good.
So yeah, but no. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the call for the GT3s, and good luck to the guys in their racing.
We will indeed. Thank you, mate. Have a good week and all the best. I'm sure you'll keep us posted via socials as well. And I know you appreciated the finger-looking good livery that I was able to grab a photo of last week at QR as well.
Certainly did, mate.
Very nicely done. There he is, Joe Baldwin, one of the stalwarts of the club, no doubt about that. Liam Banks is here, Adam Lavis too. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Now, very quickly before we get to the Circuit de la Sarthe, and Adam Lavis is loading the intro for you there now, showing you exactly where we're heading, over to the centre of Europe and off to the south of France, and one of the great all-time venues for big-time sporting events anywhere in the world, and particularly motorsport, of course, one of the legendary circuits that still is in much of its original guise, and a little over 13 kilometres of racetrack here to play with tonight, and 90 minutes of racing coming our way. But before we do, I just want to take a moment here to pay homage to a stalwart, a gentle giant, as I described him last night or this morning on social media in Australian karting circles, Max Labert. Unfortunately, Max passed away over the course of the weekend. Our thoughts are very much with his family, his friends, his wife, Marta, who herself hadn't been in great health either. And I was only talking to her a couple of weeks ago when she was asking some questions about what game's on telly for the FIFA Women's World Cup. And I knew at that point that Max hadn't been in well health, but I didn't know it was as bad as it turned out to be. But we'll miss that bloke because he was one of the great off-track figures in Australian car. I mean, he raced himself in his own right way back, but I've only ever really known him as an official and someone that just loved to be involved and would travel the country for the sport, and one of those people that you never had a bad word to say about, or you never heard anyone having a bad word to say about. So, and conversely, you very rarely heard him saying a bad word about anybody either. So, unfortunately, one of the great figures of Australian karting, particularly New South Wales karting, Max Labert, passed away yesterday. So our love and best wishes to his family. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We'll get to the race conditions in just a moment, but there's the circuit, there's the layout, 13.5 kilometres, 28 degrees. Currently, the track temperature 22, the ambient, and this is the 7th round of Waste Options GT3. We are bringing you the AM Split tonight. Next week, it'll be sprint racing. We'll bring you the first race from the AM Split, the second race from the Pro, and then we'll follow the Pro circus to the checkered flag, where we suspect Matty Dench will wrap up title number 7. Championship points as we venture into this round. And 254 for Adam Holland. Remembering, of course, drop rounds and those equations and calculations come into play at the end of tonight's round as well. That's why the GT4 standings looked as lopsided as they did compared to when we started, because all those calculations have changed the game completely. Dean Eldridge, 196 leads Sean Rees, 192, and Dale Sharp, 191 in a three-way fight for second, where they're separated by just 5 points. 13 back then to William Yarwood, then 167 for Mark Foster. Then we get down to James Francone. Kevin Coleman and Stephen Gallacher making up the top 9, and Daniel Correa-Sarr, of course, our anchor on a Thursday night. He's sitting there on 156 points. So look at that, 11 points covers 6th through 10th. and 18 points covers 2nd through 5th. This title fight is well and truly alive, and you've got Lamborghini, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, BMW and Porsche, all 6 different manufacturers, and only no love for the Ford and Audi at the moment in the top 10. This fight is well and truly alive. Liam Banks, good evening to you. Great to have you in the commentary box for this one. It's a big field. It always is when we get to the Circuit de la Sarthe. 25 tonight in qualifying trim. We'll see if any of these guys that haven't posted a time in qualifying jump onto the grid for the race, which is about to get underway. But this should be an absolute beauty tonight. 90 minutes, it'll test the guys and their stamina particularly.
Yeah, I'm really glad that it's Circuit de la Sarthe that we've got the 90-minute race at. It would feel wrong to do anything less than 90 minutes around here, I think. So I'm really glad we got that combo. I did some sprint races around here not long ago in a different championship, and that was it just felt far too strange. I think you need that strategy, strategy connotations at Le Mans, and they play out in such a large way because the lap's so long. If you want to save fuel to get an extra lap out, you've got to save over twice the amount of a normal track. That's just absolutely insane. So one lap makes way more difference than normal. Really excited for the battle at the top. And I just want to call out Daniel Saar. He's new to the championship, new to the club. He's obviously chipped in a lot on the broadcasting side of the house, and he's fantastic at that, doing a wonderful job. But he's also doing really well behind the wheel. He's in the top 10 in this amateur field. He's the highest placed Lamborghini, and a few more points would see him creep into the top 5. So really good to see him plying his trade well in the broadcasting booth and also on track. And yes, Daniel Correa, sir.
Absolutely. Hey, Kevin Coleman and Ryan Jarrett at the front row here tonight. It's an all Merc front row. The McLaren are Mark Foster from row 2 on the inside. Then the smorgasbord of Ferraris. It is a Ferrari Cup with a couple of ring-ins, really. Dean Eldred, Stephen Gallacher, Sean Benici, Ryan Wood and Greg Heaney. Then Neil Gladwin in the Porsche, the first of the Porsches, and Sean Rees in the 6th of the Ferraris in the top 10 alone. Further back, there are Fords and BMWs in this field, but there are no Audis at the moment in this GT3 AM split. We're looking forward to what's going to be a big edition of Monday Night Motorsport for Waste Options. Remembering that this is the first of 2 90-minute races in the space of the next 21 days. This time in 3 weeks, when we're back here for week 10, night 1 of term 3, it will be 90 minutes around Road America to round out the campaign. 60 minutes of Mount Panorama the week before sprint racing Phillip Island next week. That's the situation as it stands in, and this is before drop rounds come into the equation. How frightening is that to look at, ladies and gentlemen? This is GT3 Pro. That's how it looks coming into this round. Distinctly different looking top 10. Matty Dench in the McLaren leads. We've got Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and that's it represented in the top 10 of the Lambo or Chuk Pung Wong outside. Brett Dench leads by 96 points already. Simon Cox has 23 points over Nick Wood, who has 17 over Oscar Glissett and 20 over Richard King. 25 then back to Wayne Hewitt, 13 back to Reece Dickerson, 8. That's the closest battle, 7th and 8th. 8 back to Jared Knight in 8th, and 5 then back to Glenn Arnott, and then 12 points back to Ben Woods. 219 points covers 1st through 10th, and Dench has got one hand on the title before the drop rounds fall into the equation tonight. If he can keep that form up, he wins this championship before we get to week 10. It's ominous signs for the rest of the pack. It is frightening to think that Dench is about to secure title number 7, and he's going to do it with time to spare, but it wouldn't be the first time he's done it. Daunting is the word I was looking for all of the people that jump into that pro split and expect to be competitive. Kevin Coleman and Ryan Jarrett, the front row. Mark Foster, Dean Eldridge, Stephen Gallacher, Sean Benici. I've run through those guys already. Ryan Wooden and Greg Heaney, the 4th row. Neil Gladwin and Sean Rees, the 5th. We go over the page and we go back to Adam Holland and Luke Mackay on row 6. Dale Sharp and Matt Carrick, row 7. James Franco, Tim Fuge, row 8. Tristan Kosh, Adam Bryant, row 9. Mitch McIntyre and Adam Johnson, row 10. Braden O'Loughlin, Tim Watson, Kelvin Little, Rob Colbreth, Marty Mitchell, Aaron Bryan and Stephen Brooks making up the field, remembering that a couple of those guys did not qualify, so they will start rear of grid. So a field of 27 to tackle the Circuit de la Sarthe. And, I mean, yes, there are trigger points on this circuit. There are parts where you can come unstuck very easily. But if nothing else, Liam, we're expecting a long slipstreaming duel tonight.
Oh, 100%. When you're going down at that long straight, I can't emphasize how long that straight is. You just can't do anything to get away from the car behind. But you've got that lovely that lovely penultimate section where it's super twisty and you can make a lot of difference as a driver. So the key is it's going to be get there in the lead, do everything you can there to pull away from the car ahead and hope you can get them out of your slipstream before you get down to the straight again, because otherwise you're just going to be right back on your tail and any time you've gained will be lost.
Here we go. We're ready to rock and roll. Kevin Coleman and Ryan Jarrett the front row here. It's Mercedes all lock out of the front row. We've got the McLaren of Mark Foster tucking in behind them. A swarm of Ferraris, and then Neil Gladwin and Sean Rees.
Not a single Lamborghini.
What's going to be interesting here as well for us, Liam, is to see just how many of these drivers are able to make some progress tonight. Who can jump forward and push through the field as the night goes on.
Interestingly as well, despite being a really long track, it's a fairly easy track to get around safely. There's quite a lot of runoff in a lot of places. It's not one that really bites you horribly, I wouldn't say. So the good thing is if we see cars have a bit of a spin, they're going to be able to continue and they're just going to lose places. So we'll see if anyone benefits from that, but I'm not expecting to see anything like any sort of chaos. And to be fair, the amateurs have done a really good job of avoiding chaos all season long. They've driven to a very high standard, despite being the second division in the GSRC. And the saved car is just about to pull away, and then Ryan Jarrard and Kevin Coleman will take control of the field, and we'll see them. And I believe we're being joined in the country box by Daniel Cressar.
And all hell's about to break loose. We'll get to Daniel in just a moment because we want to call the start of this race, and then we'll get onto the Mulsanne straight, and then we'll have a chat to Daniel. There'll be a reason why he's not on the grid tonight, and a reason why he's here in the booth with us. Ryan Jarrard and Kevin Coleman hit the gas and get going. Kevin Coleman takes the field up the main straight for the first time. It's a Mercedes 1-2 as we get round 7 of Waste Options GT3 underway from the Circuit de la Sarthe. And there is Stephen Gullicher coming under pressure from Sean Benici, and Benici's got the spot. 5th spot to Benici through the first turn. Oh, trouble. Contact on the opening lap, on the opening turn of a 90-minute race. The kind of things you like to try and avoid.
Yeah, look,
Position gained already for Dale Sharp as well, up from 13th to 11th. So a good start for him, but there's already conversely been a few losers as well, Liam.
Yeah, one of those being Luke Mackay. Don't know what happened on the run down to the chicane, whether he just got a run by himself and got touched. But he ended up cutting the chicane, all out of control, and just tapped another car. Frankly, the car didn't come off too bad despite the contact. But still not what you want to see, like one of a 9-minute race. But the good thing is, it's 9 minutes. You've got more time than normal time.
And notably as well, look at this action, 3 and 4 wide down the Mulsanne for the first time. Matt Carrick was also a non-starter on the grid. He opted to start from pit lane. He's stone motherless last at the moment. We'll wait to see if that was tactical on his part to try to find a pit stop. Bang! Trouble! Nick McIntyre's in the wall. He's been taken out of it on the opening lap. I mean, the Mulsanne straight's wide enough to avoid that garbage you would have thought on the opening lap. A straight line coming together.
You would think so, but there were so many cars jockeying about so much, going across over half the width of the straight. Not surprising that eventually it was going to end in tears. Perhaps a little bit of inexperience some of the drivers there. I'm not sure what was going on. We'd have to get a replay to see exactly what happened. But certainly there was quite a lot of movement down that straight that didn't really need to happen. You don't really need to, you can set your line quite early and then just stick to it. Is much safer. And I think some cars acting unpredictably may have played into that, but yeah, until we get a replay we won't know for sure. And we're just watching Tim Fuge. He's under pressure from the Shell-powered Ferrari. Oh, it's going to be on the inside, coming down to this tricky sort of double right. That first one, it's not cornering itself, but just interrupts the braking zone for the second part, which is it can be quite tricky, and he gets past.
It certainly does indeed. Ryan Jarrett would ride on board with him, so he's lost a spot to Mark Foster. Jeez, whatever Matty Dench is doing with the McLaren in the top split, Mark Foster is trying to emulate in the second split. Have a look at the flames coming out of the back of the McLaren. Our colleague Daniel Correa-Sarr on mute at the moment. We'll get to him very shortly. Nice to have him in the booth on a Monday night. Very rare and unexpected occurrence, but we'll have a chat to him as the night goes on. Kevin Coleman, the leader, out to a 1.2 second advantage. That's the other thing as well. Be careful, because it's very easy. If you lose the toe, it's very hard to get it back. It's very easy to lose the toe and watch the margin grow at the top end of town. So Mark Foster's already 1.4 seconds behind Kevin Coleman on the opening lap as we're making our way through the tail end of said opening lap, and they'll be making their way back towards the pit straight any time now. Daniel Correa-Sarr has now joined us in the booth, mate. Good evening to you. This is somewhat unexpected.
Yeah, it is. I unfortunately had an illness of some sort over the weekend. You could hear it.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely.
I lost my voice completely. It's starting to come back, and I had.
Trouble! Hang on, mate. Coming back to you. Into the wall goes Adam Johnson. The green and yellow Aussie-inspired livery bites the dirt early. Has anyone reminded these blokes that it's 90 minutes, not 9?
It's an enduro. Sometimes
what the hell's going
out
on?
of the head. Yeah. But yeah, I just got full body aches. I tried to do some practice this morning, and my body was basically telling me no, it's not happening. Yeah. So I thought I'd better take the safer option, and I'm just on the sidelines, which is unfortunate because I really like Circuit de la Sarthe.
You sound a little bit like me after a weekend of commentating Hyundai XL racing.
Yeah.
Or a night of commentating GSRC Formula V. My goodness.
Yeah,
Kevin Coleman. Yeah, no. Hopefully you're backfiring on all cylinders for Thursday night, mate. Looking forward to that. What's your take on the AM split here at at this point of the season? Of course, you've been out there as a driver, so it might be a little bit difficult to gauge the general scope of things, but the competition's fierce.
It is indeed. I really enjoy the AM split is. We'll just watch a replay of Luke Mackey coming down to the and that's why you don't drive the 4GT. That thing is unstable on the rear brakes. He's locked that up, gone straight across, and unfortunately taken out one of the SHR boys with him. But yeah, this is Mitch earlier on, where he's gone for the world record for the most pirouettes down the Mulsanne.
We might need to take a second look at that, because it was, here it is. Tim Watson was also involved in an incident on the opening lap. This was separate to the Mitch McIntyre incident.
Oh, that's down in Indianapolis. And
it's just gone hard right on him. He hasn't been able to pull it up, and it's just sending towards the arm cut. If you can have a look at it, here it is again. So this is Braden Lachlan's got into the side of him, so it looked as though McIntyre might have been bailing out of it and getting on the brakes, and the gap's just disappeared, and O'Loughlin's given him a shunt.
Yeah, cool. Here we just see what happened to Adam Johnson. We saw the back end of this when he ends up in the wall. So it looks like just he tries to get the power down, doesn't he? Just as he's got 2 tyres on the grass, 2 tyres on the tarmac, and it just sends him into the wall. We're seeing another.
He was loose in the coming out of the first part of the thing, and then just pendulum on him.
Well, what's a shame there is he's caught that original one, and then because he only had the right side tyres on the grass, it spun on him again. Ryan's trying to go to the moon there on that one. That's why it's sausage curb, you can't cut. That's a rough one.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think unless you do it in practice a couple of times, it doesn't really enter your brain how desperately you need to avoid those sausage curbs. So I wonder if he'd hit one before, if that was his first time, and now he's learned that you definitely stay wide of them. There's a few places like that you almost need to make the mistake so you know how horrible it is and how you need to do just about everything to avoid it, because the going deep or just picking out of it will be the better alternative. So we see Sean Benici going side by side.
Yeah, Ryan Jarrett just got mugged here.
Indeed he has.
2 positions lost there.
And Jared's dropped 3 spots in the opening stint. But there will be some tactics and some gamesmanship at play here too, boys. We know that because you can potentially save a little bit in the toe on the juice front, but you've got to save a lot of juice, a lot of gas to get an extra lap out of a stint here because the circuit's so long.
Yeah,
already into pit lane. Ryan Jarrett on pit road at the end of lap 2. Is this tactical or is this unscheduled?
I wonder if he's mistimed serving a slowdown.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I'm just going to go with whatever Adam says, because usually when there's a call like that, he gets it bang on. When we're all questioning what it is, usually Adam comes in and is like, oh, it's this, and then he's right almost every single time. So I think we could take that for gospel as though that's almost certainly what happened as we're watching why wouldn't. So he's in 6th place. So let's run through how we're going so far. So you spoke about those gaps and how once you get out of the slipstream, it's hard to get back into it, and really the key is going to be staying in the slipstream with the car ahead. I think Coleman has broken the slipstream and Mark Foster just about 2.2 seconds to gap there, so Coleman looking good out in the lead, but what we don't know is how much fuel saving is going on there. Back, you've got Sean Minichi 1.5 behind Foster on the bubble, isn't he, of that dropping out of the slipstream. So we'll see how that battle develops. Greg Heaney's right behind Sean Minichi, so that's a live battle for the final spot on the podium. And then got a gap back to Sean Rees, gap back to Wooden, gap back to Neil Gladwin. He's got Gallagher for company. Dial Sharps, the second big gap in the field. So you got a big gap from the top 4 to the 5th place, and then a big gap from 8th to 9th. And then from 10th, you got all the way down to 13th in nose to tail.
And 5 different manufacturers in that top 10 at the moment as well, boys. Mercedes, McLaren, a swarm of Ferraris, Porsche, and BMW. 6 Ferraris in the top 10. Everybody else represented singularly through Coleman, Foster, Gladwin, and Sharp, respectively. And outside is where you see the swarm of Porsches. There's 6 of them, 7, 8 of them actually in the next 9 places, 11th through 19th, the exception being James Francone's Ferrari. So Ferrari and Porsche are evenly represented out there. Already some cars in trouble. Mitch McIntyre still on pit road. Tim Watson as well has been on pit road for 2 minutes and 21 seconds. So there have already been some costly long pit stops tonight. Matt Carrick on the comeback trail at the moment, having started in pit lane. Originally scheduled to start 14th, he's already back up to 19th because of all the trouble that's unfolded around.
Stark difference to last week. We saw it at Barcelona. The Porsches were killing it around there. It was a very Porsche-friendly track. They were all up the front. Now we've got all the Porsches outside the top 10, basically. So that'll be interesting to look at the results of when we get to the Pro Split, because the majority of the Pro Split's in Porsche. So we could have a shock result up in the Pro Split tonight.
Indeed.
We're certainly could give Mark Foster second in the McLaren. I don't think Dench will be having issues with his McLaren in the Pro Split.
I'm not necessarily shocked first, unless Dench makes a mistake, but there could be some people up in the podium spots we don't normally see if this the form of the AM split is to be carried over into the Pro.
Imagine if he makes a mistake and we're not there to watch it. I'll be gutted. He's got to save any mistakes until we're broadcasting them again. I will not allow it.
Hey, sprint racing next week. Invert top 10 second race for the pile, and we are broadcasting the Pro Split. We know he's got a checkered history with those sorts of races. There's Stephen Brooks off the road and rejoining in 16th place.
Stephen Brooks has had a really good run so far. 11 positions gained from the start of the race. I'm also quite devastated because nobody's repping the Bulls. I don't race, and there is no Lamborghinis on the grid.
Exactly, that's right.
Devastated.
You're a lone soldier. It's all happening here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Here's Sean Benici in 3rd place at the moment. Now, what's also going to be interesting, boys, is to see, there goes Kelvin Little. That's definitely a mistake. You don't want to be on the grass around here terribly often. What I need to find out too is how long these stints are going to be. 3:58.735 is the standing fastest lap time for Kevin Coleman, just outdone by Sean Benici, 3:58.315. So we know that we're around about that 4-minute marker, that 4-minute threshold. 1, is it going to be 2 stops or 3? And 2, I think it's going to be 3. And 2, just how far can you stretch it? Is it going to be 6 laps or 7 that you can get out of a stint here? Because either way, I look at that, that's a 3-stop race because if we go 23 times 4 is 92 minutes. So there's an outside chance that we'll get 23 laps in tonight, but I'd be wagering if I was a gambling man to play it on the side of court. Yeah, actually, no, 23 would be right, because if you get back to the line somewhere in that final minute of play, you can get that 23rd lap in, even if we have to do 3 minutes of overtime. So I'd be wagering 23 because the pit lane transit times shouldn't take 2 minutes out of the equation here. And furthermore, they're knocking a couple of seconds off the clock with every lap that they run under 4 minutes. So I think 23 is a safe bet.
Well, if you're right, it's a good number of laps.
Yeah, well, it says he who races with the number 23. Yeah, very nicely done. I see what you did there. We're only on lap 4 though, folks, so strap it, it's a long one.
It's a long night, and it's a long straight for Sean Benici to launch an attack on Mark Foster. We said he was on the peripheral of falling out of the slipstream, but I'll tell you what, he's absolutely in it now. He's monstered down that 1.5 second gap, and he's going to launch an attack here, is he? No, he's going to sit behind the McLaren. Look deliberate, could be an opportunity to feel safe, or maybe he's thinking, you know what, I'm going to get him down into the second chicane.
The iRacing Marshal, who's at the entrance to that second chicane, he has the most arduous job of the race, because that turning cone on the entrance gets knocked off almost every lap.
Yeah. I like it.
It's not the only one. The ones that come up here too. Everyone almost takes out that first one on the left. And sometimes down here as they turn onto the right-hander.
Well, do you use it to aim at? Because I genuinely aim at it when I'm driving this track. That's my straight line braking as I get around that first bit. And
jeez!
that's...
Look, Mackay!
Oh, look at that.
Whoa! Have a look at that again. That's exit stage left that grabs everybody's attention. My goodness.
That rear wing.
Almost,
wow. Look at the rear wing.
It's almost as if the traction control was late. It's just like, oh, you want to go this way now?
Curb.
Bang! Oh. And then look at the front bumper just bouncing between the guards. That's so rough. So he's slid out a little and then tried to... Oh, no. See that car snap on his right. Bang! Right into the wall. Oh, that's some heavy, heavy damage. The wing's gone. Oh. Rough go there for Luke.
Indeed.
There's the wing. Just a wing flying by itself there.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and that's not the way the course goes.
No.
That's the slowest incident we might see all night.
I think he was looking for some orange.
Oh, don't hit the wall! Don't hit the wall! Oh no! The rub salt in the wound.
And this is Foster still ahead of Benici, just approaching the chicanes to end the lap. So he's going to leave for another lap. Is he going to be in the lead once they get down the Morsani straight again? Pass. Well, I wouldn't want to call it.
I wonder if Benici's actually playing a little bit advanced games here and actually using Foster as a bit of a slipstream tool. Just rather than you can still see Coleman in the distance, so he's not breaking away too far yet. So he might be just using it to save a bit of fuel and get that time back in the stops, or he could go for a move here and prove me completely wrong.
True. And how many times have we seen that as well?
What's the opposite of the commentator's curse?
Well, the other thing is Mark might be listening and he realises he's like, oh no, I want the fuel saver.
Yes,
that's right. It's very powerful.
A commentator's boot, a Booth Boys boon. There you go.
There you go. Booth Boys boon. I love that. But yeah, it's just way too powerful. If you've not done it, so I mean, once upon a time, the Mulsanne Straight was in fact one straight. Now they've broken it up with the chicane in the middle. But it's just too powerful. You let the guy at the front do all the hard work. You use less fuel in the process. And he's not going anywhere unless you're bad in the corners. So yeah, why not? Plus you've got, it's a 90-minute race. We're only 17 minutes in, so plenty of time.
And we said that gap to Coleman, it's not too big. It is up at 4 seconds, so that may have been also part of the consideration. I thought maybe that gap is a bit bigger than he would like for comfort, so he doesn't mind pulling Mark Foster along as long as he gets both of them up to Coleman at 4 seconds. That's bigger than I'd like if I was in second place. Yes, early days, but it's going to be hard to get that in, say, a fuel stop stint. If you assume they're on the same strategy or a similar strategy, it's hard to make that up in lap, out lap, fuel time, etc., etc., etc. So you're running out of opportunities to get past. If that gets to, particularly if that gets to 5-6 seconds, then you know it's getting a bit large for comfort. And it's growing because Coleman is killing it. He did the fastest lap of the race last lap. 3 minutes 58. I'm so used to starting it with a 1. 3 minutes 58.286.
So are we.
Benici at 3 minutes 58.3 and Foster at 3:58.8. So that half second might explain why Benici felt the need to get past Foster.
A little anecdote from the broadcast point of view. I keep looking at the track map thinking my SDK is frozen just because of how slow they go around the track map because the track's so big.
Right, that's true. Yeah. It doesn't tick up as quickly as it would do on any other track that we go to.
Okay, so...
Stephen Brooks on screen here at the moment, boys. 15th place. Yet to see any of the leaders jump to pit lane. 1 hour, 11 minutes to go. You'd have to run the tank as dry as you possibly could around here, given that it's such a long lap, given that...
I reckon it's the third time. I reckon it's the third.
Three-step strategy.
It's got to be the third time Aaron's gone now. He's every time we cross him, he's having trouble down the front straight.
He's just going way too fast into the complex of corners.
Yeah.
And then he can't pull it up. And then that particular corner, that last corner, it doesn't care who you are or where you are. You can't avoid it. If you don't hit your braking marker, you're either going way too far inside and you're getting a slow down, or you're going right over the middle of that thing and it's sending you to the outside wall.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more dangerous locations on the track in terms of your lap time, and I think it's very easy to get caught up with trying to brake as late as you can, but that's not always the fastest way to go about it. Yeah, you obviously can't leave too much braking zone on the table, but when you go as late as you can every time, that kind of thing's going to happen. You're going to go deep. And
Kevin Coleman, Sean Benici. Yep. It's a cavalcade of activity on pit lane at the moment, a smorgasbord. A swarm of competitors have lunged for pit lane. They've dived in. The top 8 all on pit road. Sharp and Bright make it 10 from 10. Franco and Fuge, I think we've found our threshold, boys, which could mean we're heading for a 4-stop race here, unless these guys reckon that they can get 6 laps out of the next 3 stints and take us to 23. But if they go every 5 laps, we're looking at a 2-lap sprint to the checkered flag, and we probably wouldn't get that 23rd lap. I'm not sure. Oh, interesting.
Depending on lap, only 20 minutes, 20 and a half minutes into the race, and being it's a 4-minute lap time, and they had a roll up lap this time, so they may be able to do the extra lap next time. But some of them could have possibly maybe stretched the extra lap, given that the fuel burn is normally around that mid to high 20-minute mark. So. But also, there's a long time on the full throttle here, so the fuel burn might be a little bit higher than normal.
20 cars dive for pit lane on that lap.
We got one guy going for it.
Adam Holland. Now, actually, what's interesting about Adam Holland is that he's stopped on lap 2. So he's already been in. So don't worry too much about that. He's out of sequence. Rick Mackay's out of the race. Mitch McIntyre, Adam Johnson, all gone. We're down to 24 at the Circuit de la Sarthe, where it's... Can we have a look at the track and weather conditions, please, Adam Lavis? So track temp 26 degrees, ambient 22, 23. Where it's, look at that, 6:51 in the evening and daylight, as far as the eye can see. What a beautiful thing that is. In the middle of summer there in France. How we long for long twilight summer evenings, unless you live in Queensland. 1 hour and 8 minutes to go. Yes, it is a sore point, and it's 6 weeks away, so don't start me.
Grant calling out bingo.
5 weeks away. 5 weeks away is Delta Goodrum, and then reality comes crashing in and sinking in a very cruel and depressing manner.
Well, yeah, we won't sink into just how depressing reality is at the moment, but we'll stick to our virtual racing where it's happy and sunny, and I like to think that all of the world's troubles have been solved, and racing is all that exists, because what else would you do once all of the world's problems have been solved? But Gladwin might have a problem because he's got Gallagher and Wooden right behind him, and then Bryant is just on the cusp of joining this battle as well. They are, however, teammates, so I expect these Twitchy Foot racing guys going to work together, share the fuel saving around. I expect we'll see the three of them swap positions a bit, and they'll try and all get that extra lap if they are playing the team game. Just because you're teammates doesn't mean you're playing the team game, but these guys, I think that's what they're doing.
Smart play would be to do the peloton strap.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah, yep. The old, and I like the use of the word peloton because we are in France, and straight after Le Mans, of course, we've got that most famous little, pedal push bicycle race around France. Just a casual, bit of leisurely exercise over 3 weeks.
I think any form of sport that makes your legs look like the legs on some of those cyclists should be meted out as a punishment, because those guys are just look at their calves. Look at their calves and tell me that is a calf that looks happy, because those calves do not look happy. Anyway, I always thought side note, I always thought it was Pendleton, like instead of Peloton, I thought it was Pendleton because of pedals on a bike. Was wrong.
My favourite thing about bike racing is that, and this is of course illegal,
when you put a motor on it.
Well, there's that, but it's also like, obviously when it comes to professional sports, you're trying to find any competitive edge that is available to you, right? Yeah. And then the rules develop, and then that edge goes away, and then they try and find another edge. As we have a replay here from Adam Bryan, so here he is in Ferrari. Nice and easy, down straight. And unless this goes horribly wrong, I think it's just a really good overtake.
Just actually, while I think of it, because we're talking about all sorts of different racing and whatnot, if anyone's gone to a nearby cinema and caught the new Gran Turismo movie, and you're tuning in tonight, let us know your thoughts, because I haven't seen it yet, and I'm contemplating taking advantage of the local cinema's Cheap Tuesday ticket tomorrow and going and doing so. But yes, not often you see too many motorsport movies on the big screen, and as soon as I saw it, I saw the trailer for it a couple of weeks ago when I went to see Oppenheimer. It just seemed as though there was a little bit of, hello Paul Nichols, your name got mentioned earlier, your ears must have been burning. Nice to have you on board, mate. Would like to see you back on track on a more regular basis, but that's another story. The reality of the situation is, I saw the trailer and I just thought as though it was taking the proverbial out of itself in a manner of speaking. But if you've seen it and you've watched it and you think it's a good, worthwhile investment for a couple of hours, let me know. Thinking of trying to kill some time tomorrow.
I'm also interested in seeing that movie, if only just to see if it is any good. It does have quite a good Rotten Tomatoes score, so fingers crossed. But just to finish my earlier point, so what they've realised, you have assistant cars that travel along the riders, and that allows them to give them water and things like that while they're on the route. And it turns out that some of them would hold on to the water bottle while it was being given them out of the car, and then they wouldn't have to pedal because the car would propel them down the road. And they had to start cracking down on that because that is a significant advantage.
Oh no, I can't quite get a solid grasp on this water bottle. I don't feel cool. Don't let go until I've got a solid grasp. Oh, there it is. Oh look, I didn't have to pedal for 10 seconds. That kind of thing.
It's just fantastic. The idea that all you had to do was hold on to the water bottle, and the guy in the car holds onto the water bottle, and you just got a tow.
See, I think they should throw it at them, and then they have to take both hands off the pedals, and then catch it and really show off their skills.
Both hands off the pedals.
Both hands off the thing that goes across the handlebar.
I think we know what you're trying. Yeah. All right, let me clean this up and save these blokes from themselves, if nothing else. We're at the 28-minute mark. We're watching Kevin Coleman, Sean Benici, Mark Foster lead the way. You've got Matt Carrig on screen there in 17th at the moment, fending off Kelvin Little, and we've now gone to Dale Sharp, who's got Adam Bryant for company. They're trying to get down the inside and does so. Can he hold it as they get down towards the next corner? Yes, he can. He covers off.
It's about the 4th or 5th time these
Dale
guys have
Sharp
swapped
very nicely. Sorry, Adam?
It's about the 3rd or 4th time these guys have swapped positions in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, and that's one way to go about racing around here without compromising each other terribly. Because
they are closing the gap to the
Slipstream, change positions, work together. Yeah, exactly. Whereas on a tighter circuit, on a shorter circuit, that squabbling can normally cost you, but not so much here at Lamar. Have a look just ahead of them, though. You got Stephen Gallacher, Neil Gladwin, and Ryan Wooden all working together very nicely in tandem. As the boys said, a little bit of a peloton going there. We've had 28.5 minutes of racing. We're on lap 7. Kevin Coleman's coming back to the line to complete lap 7 now. He's on the main straight, heading up towards turn 1 once more. And we've still got 61.5 minutes to go. Oh, no, in the wall! But the teammates are gone! Can you believe that? Ryan Wooden
and Stephen Gallacher
have come together. Very nicely picked up from you, Liam Banks, because I didn't. Kevin Coleman, whilst we're looking at all that, has punched out the fastest lap of the race thus far. 3 minute 58.022. Two teammates bite the dust. Oh no! Bang! That's so unlucky. He's just launched on the grass.
Oh, you saw sausage
He's going
curves
to Daniel
about.
Ricciardo.
The only thing worse than the sausage curve is an invisible curve.
Is it an invisible curve on the grass? So why did he pull off the circuit?
Well, that's exactly right. How come he was hanging out that far? And why? More to the point. Oh.
He's so close to getting through without the contact as well.
Right, so we need to go back just a little bit further.
It's a little bit further than that
Was
even.
it
Why does he go off? Is it?
Was he trying to be tactical and let his teammates through so that one of them could take up the toe? Although
deep.
The front end of the running, no.
That's the problem.
No.
He's not going
unfortunate.
He's not going that fast. He has got off enough speed to stick to the inside there. He's obviously decided that's the safest place to rejoin. And is this an on-ball? Because this will be... Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh, this will be
Get
good.
a one
this
car
is-
behind.
Whoosh go.
And yeah, he's got no clue. Look at that bang. Oh my god.
And it just, like, from the first angle that we saw, it just looked like he was pulling off, let the teammates through, jump on the back of the train and save some juice and let someone else do the heavy lifting. But no, nothing could be further from the truth. So Kevin Coleman and Sean Benici lead the race. Mark Foster is third. We've had teammates coming together, albeit inadvertently, completely and utterly accidentally and unintentionally. And it's just thrown a spanner in the works
It certainly has.
with their strategy play.
It really has. They're no longer together to save some fuel, but a few of these incidents are playing in nicely into some of the drivers' hands. So,
Well, Matt
Big
Carrick
movers.
for one of them.
yeah, big movers. Adam Bryant, he's up 11 spots into 7th. Stephen Brooks is up 14 spots into 13th, so he's halved his starting position. Aaron Bryan is up 10 positions into 16th place. So you look at the top 16, they're all pretty much up multiple spots, and you got to think a fair bit of that is going to be due to some of these incidents that we've seen during the race. I just want to pick up an earlier thing you said, Zach. You spoke about how you can work together, and part of that is because one of the wonderful things about motor racing and what makes it so dramatic is that an overtake is worth so much. It's really hard to pull off, and when you do, it's really hard for the car behind you, or now behind you, to get back at you because it's very, very hard to do. Certain circuits, they change how hard an overtake is, and this is one of those circuits where all of a sudden overtaking isn't that difficult. You get within 3/4 of a second of the car ahead, and you can get the overtake done down the Mulsanne straight. So all of a sudden, that script is flipped, and an overtake isn't worth that much. What's worth more is the fuel saving. So that's why all of a sudden you see people that never work together, would never think about seating a position, even the really aggressive drivers that just want to go forward, all of a sudden they'll start playing a bit more tactical because they know that that fuel saving for sitting behind a car with a similar pace in front is going to be worth more than an overtake because they can get that overtake done whenever they want it. It's not that hard around their circuit. So it just changes the equation and you get a very different style of motor racing. It's something I'd love to see more circuits adopt this long straight long format. It's going to be really hard with just the way the modern world is and how precious land is, but you know, more 4-minute circuits like this I think would really spice up a lot of racing series around the world, because it just all of a sudden it forces you to race differently to be successful.
Yeah, we just need more Nürburgrings. That's what you're telling me.
Oh, I love the Nordschleife. If we can get the Nordschleife in every GSRC season, I'd be a happy man. Even if it's only a 2-lap race, I'll take it.
The Nordschleife was a fantastic track.
First man of the 57s.
And it's Mark
who's
Foster, the
that?
McLaren.
I was in the McLaren, oh.
357 point, not just in the 57s, but massively in the 57s. A 357.5, half a second quicker than anybody else that lap. Thank you very much. Although saying that, Sean Bonici's,
he had an off-track day, so he did a 57 too, and he didn't run wide somewhere.
but both of them much faster than Kevin Coleman ahead, over half a second faster. So that'd be interesting to watch, because if they can keep up this pace and Coleman can't react, could be trouble for Coleman with Benici and Foster on the hunt.
We're getting to that point where we'll start thinking about that next round of pit stops, boys, because lap 5 was the end of the first, was the bulk of the field coming in for their first splash and dash. We're on lap 9. Oh, more trouble this time. Kelvin Little's in the wall. Kelvin Little is in the wall, and that's on the back end of the lap. Or is it at the start of the lap? My apologies. It's actually at the start of the lap.
He just put Mulsanne.
It's heading down onto the Mulsanne. Not the end of the lap, the start of the lap. And that's a long way home from there. My goodness. There are so many drivers biting the dust tonight, and we're only half an hour in. Stay with us another hour where that's come from for you, ladies and gentlemen. A quick post-race show to follow too. It is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Grass is suicide. We've said it so many times.
I will apologise for what I said earlier about it not being a circuit that tends to bite all that hard.
Yes.
I think I managed to put the commentator's curse on the entire field. So
I think you might
apologies.
have, and including teammates and
So the plus
individual
side,
entries.
plus side for Kelvin, his steering wheel's still straight, so he can chuck on to the next fuel stop and not sacrifice too much time.
That's probably a blessing in disguise for him. The other thing as well, Greg Heaney, Sean Rees, Neil Gladwin, Adam Bryant all follow Mark Foster at the moment. Just no change in the top 3. Coleman, Benici and Foster. We're on lap 9. That was the point I was making before we saw Kelvin Little come unstuck. We've got Neil Gladwin there at the moment chasing, or fending off Adam Bryant rather. Bryant's in a real hurry. Bryant's to the inside. Geez, that Ferrari's got some straight line poke, no doubt about that. Down the inside he goes into P6 and up 12 spots for good measure for his trouble. Excellent. Now, keep an eye out. I know they're long laps around here. Oh, no, he's gone way too deep. He's gone way too deep. And he has to reset and do all the hard yakka all over again.
Yeah, just got a little bit too much rear brake bias in the final phase of that stop there, and he got the wiggle on and had to run wide to save it.
The interesting thing for mine, so Kevin Coleman is the leader, Sean Benici, Mark Foster 2 and 3. Foster the fastest lap of the race. Here we go, Eldridge down the inside into 15 and holds it together nicely.
He's the same thing.
Oh no. We're on the cusp, so in about 8 minutes time. I'm getting excited because 2 laps, but 8 minutes time. Let's be perfectly honest. From that next round of pit stops. So it's either going to be this time round at the end of lap 10, which Kevin Coleman, Sean Benici and Mark Foster had just started, or at the end of lap 11. If it's the lap 11 and they can get 6 laps to the stint, game on for a 23-lap race and a 3-stopper. But they'll be running on fumes when they get to the checkered flag. And we may even see what we saw in the Porsches as well, Adam Lavis, where we see a couple of cars run out of puff on that final lap, on that run home.
Sorry, just real quick. I'm just going to begin to head off. As
you're going to bow out, and rightly so. I mean, I'm surprised you even, but in a craft where you need your voice to be your biggest instrument, I'm surprised you turned up when it's on Struggle Street the way that it is, Daniel. But we appreciate you stopping by, mate.
That's all right. Just thought I'd give you guys an update. But before I leave, I just want to point out that both Kevin Coleman and Sean Benici did a 57-1. Benici sat 57.110 on that last lap, so they are ramping it up. And
he did it without the toe as well, which is even more impressive. And he did it 4 seconds behind Kevin Coleman. So, yeah, 357.110. It's all happening. Stephen Brooks is on pit road at the moment. Christian Koch is the car you've got on screen. Benici in the Ferrari, fastest lap of the race. There's no battle on the circuit outside of the top 6, or inside the top 6, I should say. The next battle on track is actually Dale Sharp closing in on Adam Bryant. That's the battle you can see on screen at the moment. Hey, Daniel, looking forward to teaming up with you again on Thursday night, mate, when we get stuck into some production cars and also the Mustang R500s, no less. And also, of course, a pivotal round, an important round of the Porsches.
Yeah, it should be great, and hopefully my voice will be back to 100%.
You can only hope. Otherwise, it's a good thing you got me, unless I go down for the count somewhere between now and then.
That's all right. We won't try and manifest that one, Zach.
No,
right,
and we'll manage. Good on you, mate. All the best.
Right.
Thanks for that.
Out. Enjoy the rest of the race.
There he is, Daniel Correa. So, hey, very nicely done from him. Although that being said, if you remember Liam Banks, there was a Monday night there at the start of Term 4 last year. I think it was week 2. James Francone doing some mowing, where I had the XL Nationals on the Saturday, Sunday, the weekend before. And on the Monday night, I dropped about 3 cylinders over the course of the weekend, had a job to talk, but we still got through. We always seem to manage on the platforms of the GSRC. Here is Adam Bryant under pressure from Dale Sharp.
Yeah, we do always manage, but we only manage because of volunteers like Daniel, like yourself, like Adam, and we're always crying out for more volunteers to make sure that we can always pull something together, hopefully provide race control more consistently. We'd love to get more streams and be able to stream, every night. That would be absolutely superb, wouldn't it? Imagine if every series was getting streamed. But we can only do these things with the love and support of members. So if you want to get involved beyond the race capacity, then please do contact the committee. There's a general meeting very soon, I want to say. Pardon?
An annual general meeting this weekend. Yes, and that'll be huge.
So that's a good occasion for you to let yourself be known. Let it be known that you want to get involved in this club that provides so much, and just give back a little and help us keep doing what we are doing, because it is one of the best places to go racing in Australia, in iRacing, and dare I say, one of the best places to go racing in iRacing, full stop, regardless of your nationality. And that's evidenced by the great racing we've got here.
Lap 10, it's the end of the 5-lap run, and the boys are on pit road, almost certainly making this a full-stop race. Kevin Coleman on pit road, Sean Benici, Mark Foster, Greg Heaney, Sean Rees all follow. The top 5 on pit road, and Kevin Coleman leads the train at the halfway mark. Actually, we're not quite halfway there. We're only 41 minutes into 90. At the second stop of what we think now will be 4, boys.
This might help the Twitchy-Foot guys who had the pit 10 minutes ago. Because basically they still want the same number of stops, just a little bit different with the fuel amount.
Exactly. So that might have just balanced the ledger a little bit. Back out onto the racetrack we go, and that is Kevin Coleman in 18.08 seconds, an almost seamless pit stop there. And beautifully done.
Brian's taking some tyres.
Oh, here we go. Now that's interesting, because tyre wear is going to play a part. Also, something I didn't mention there, Liam, it was mentioned during our post-race show for GT4. We can't be too far away from BOP updates throwing a spanner in the works for some of these cars as well.
Yeah, no, we can't be far away. We do expect to see it around this time of the year, the next major release for iRacing coming soon. And yeah, that does always throw a bit of a spanner in the works, particularly there's a higher risk than normal because we've got the brand new Porsche and half the field's in the brand new Porsche. And, being brand new, it's one of the cars that are least likely to get the balance right. So if iRacing feel they haven't got the balance right, although I must say they seem to have done a fantastic job of it, That one's, you gotta think, gonna be prone to some changes, and it makes the other cars prone to changes as they just try and balance them all and make sure that people can enjoy whatever GT3 car they wish. Each will have their own strengths, but all capable, hopefully, of achieving about the same lap time. But as you can see, that's not really been proved the case around here, because the Ferraris were leading the Porsches quite comfortably until a few incidents has shuffled it up a little bit. But even so, you've got 3 Ferraris in the top 5. That's not something we usually see in the AM split of the GT3s. We usually see a few more Porsches up there.
So, got a comment in saying Foster took tyres, but I'm assuming he only took 2 tyres because he's still done an 18-second stop. Whereas Brian did the 22.5-second stop, which we know is the 4-tyre stop. Also, Gallagher on that after the incident, he might have also got a penalty or something on the penalty because he had a 1:20 stop when he had to go. So that's probably ruled him out from a top spot. It's going to be a hard yard to get that back by the end of the race.
Yeah, it's going to make his life really, really difficult here. It's always hard to come back from any sort of incident like that big, and then to get a penalty whacked on top of that.
So we can see here, this is actually a perfect, because Dale Sharp was right behind Adam Bryan going to the pits, and you see that's basically the track lost to sacrifice to get those 4 tyres done. So he's gone from being in front of Dale to now being a few seconds behind. So that's what you've got to make up with the fresh rubber.
Yeah, of course. And when we talk about drivers only taking 2 tyres, they often take one side of tyres, and then they'll take the next side of tyres at the next stop. So they will still replace all 4 tyres throughout the race. And what it does is it brings your tyre stop down more in line with how long the fuel takes. Whereas if you take all 4 tyres, it takes longer than the fuel with these restricted tanks. So you give up a bit of time if you try to take all 4 at the same time. Of course, that means your car's going to be, I guess, more consistently balanced because you're going to have all the tyres all at the same wear. But certainly it's a very, very popular strategy in the pro split to only take 2 tyres at a time and deal with it.
Yeah, it takes about 3 seconds longer to do 4 tyres and fuel rather than doing just fuel or fuel and 2 tyres.
It's all happening here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. And Grant Gill asking what's the sim time. Have a look at that! 7:30 in the evening. It's still broad daylight. What a lovely, progressive, civilised concept and idea that is from the French.
I'm pretty sure I've timed this so that it is going to be
Sunset?
a bit dark by the end of the race here.
Yep, so 45 minutes takes us up beyond 9 o'clock local time. So that would be, if we were converting it to our time, it'd be 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank Christ that's not the case. I'm not sure I'd be awake at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is the battle for 8 at the moment. Dale Sharp fending off Ryan Wooden. This is the battle for 8. Sean Benici, the fastest lap of the race thus far. The big movers, Liam Banks, include Adam Bryant and Braden O'Loughlin, 8 positions apiece. Beyond that, Aaron Bryan also 8. That seems to be the common denominator at the moment, unless you're in the minus column, in which there's a couple of people that have racked up a dozen.
Yeah, Eldridge and Galich are 2 of those that racked up a dozen. Aren't those 2 of the Twitchy Foot Racing guys? Certainly Galich's Twitchy Foot Racing. So we know what happened to him. Not sure what happened to Eldridge. Wooden's another one of the Twitchy Foot Racing guys, but he's faring much better. He's up in 9th, although having pitted lap 7. We're yet to see if he's how that's gonna play out strategy-wise, or whether that's whether he's got an invoice to pay a bit later on to steal Zach's second or third favourite phase. I'm not going to say it's your favourite, but it's certainly
not my favourite, but it's certainly there. And you can thank Crompton for that one because it was one of his back in the day. He might still use it. I don't know. I don't watch Supercars anymore. But Luke Mackay, Mitch McIntyre, Adam Johnson, the only retirements. They all happen on the first 3 laps. Adam Holland comes to pit lane for pit stop number 3. And all 24 that are still running are somehow on the lead lap. Half a lap down, however, is Marty Mitchell in the Mercedes that's running 24th and last at the moment.
So Eldridge pitted on lap 1, so he must have some sort of a penalty, or maybe he forgot to put his race fuel in.
That's a good point.
That curb is deadly around here.
Oh, yeah.
It looks so innocent too.
Adam Bryant in 9th place right now, and this is live as you watch it on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube, and that is Sim Fuge in 10th place chasing him down. And of course we're on the Mulsanne straight at the moment. Seen a couple of incidents tonight. One on the Mulsanne, one heading into Indianapolis, one heading towards the start-finish line, one heading to the Mulsanne. There's been action aplenty. We haven't been let down. We've been spoilt for choice and content tonight throughout the course of the first 47.5 minutes. 42.5 to go. This is Monday Night Motorsport, the 7th week of Term 3, night 1 of the week. And season 14 for the club, 2023. Already more than halfway done. Only 3 weeks left this season after this one. And then a 1 week reset. You guys do week 1 of the new term 4 without me because, well, on the Monday night at least, because I'll be down in Sydney enjoying Delta at the Sydney Opera House. The 20th anniversary Innocent Eyes tour. That's going to light up the country. Don't worry about that. And then obviously we run all the way through to the start of December. November 30, I think, might be our last broadcast night of the season, actually, on the Thursday nights. December 1 being the Friday. I'm actually hoping to be in Adelaide for that. Maybe I might have to broadcast the final from South Australia. 56 years closer to progressive civilization than Queensland will be by that point of the year. 41.5 minutes to go. James Francone there in 13th place. Coming up on the outside, Braden O'Loughlin, and displacing him.
Well, I can certainly attest to broadcasting from South Australia. It's a great state in South Australia, even if we do get looked down upon by our eastern brother.
There you go. Liam. I might just come and park up at the Banks commentary headquarters for the night, and
absolutely.
That'll work. We'll be able to do that. Teamwork. No, actually, a friend of mine. I'm not sure if they're going to be over there or in another part of the country. They essentially live out of a luggage case, and I'm just trying to work out where they're going to be for their birthday. So if I can make it over to celebrate, I will absolutely. I'm not sure how work's going to feel about broadcasting the show from interstate on the second last outing of the year. We'll wait and see. Oh, Francone chopped off there as O'Loughlin went back on by.
So it's amazing that your friend can fit in a luggage case to sleep in there. But Francone here, just getting cut off. And I just wanted to make a point about Brian, and we saw in the battle with Tim Fuge, that battle's still raging. I was going to say he must be pretty happy that it's a Porsche's battling instead of a BMW, but then I realised that that's because Dale Sharp's pulled ahead of him in the BMW, so perhaps not as happy as he could have been that it's a different car that he's battling, because it's another car coming up from behind, rather than him looking forward at this point. And James Francone, he's an interesting driver, because he always seems to move forward in races. Have you noticed that? He's quite aggressive, seems to move forward, just seems to not quite have the qualifying pace to start the race, but his race pace probably dictates he would be. He's up 3 spots here in this race, but I've seen him up 7, 8, 9 spots before, so he's an interesting driver, and one it's always good to keep an eye on in that absolutely gorgeous livery. And this is Brian in another gorgeous Ferrari livery, because Ferrari's got some good liveries, and he's got behind him Tim Fuge, and I think that Porsche might be ahead of the Ferrari in a few corners time, perhaps even the next corner. So close, gonna sit behind and get some fuel saving done, I reckon. I've changed my mind. Let's see what happens. They're about to get to the chicane. And yeah, definitely fuel saving behind him. So that's clever from Fuge. That's going to help him out in the long run. As we approach, we're now past halfway, and we've got just under 40 minutes left. So there will be one more stop from here, potentially, if you pitted just within the last lap or two. Last lap even, you're going to be able to make the field from here, make a single pit stop from here. So we're not at the critical number, because that's where there's no more pit stops, but we're at the penultimate critical lap, I suppose. Zach, come in, stop me rambling.
Sorry, critical lap will be, well, it depends. If it's a 4-stopper, I can only see us getting to 22 laps, because the pit lane transit time will suck enough out of the clock. You only need to take about 2.5 minutes out of the clock with 4 pit stops to 22 laps, 90 minutes, 4 pit stops. So it's going to be touch and go as to whether we get a 23rd lap or not. So the critical lap could either be lap 17 or lap 18. Has there been anyone tonight that's been able to stretch out a 6-lap stint? No. So, yeah, it's going to be... So, therefore, the critical lap will be 17 or 18, but the latest we'll see pit stops is probably lap 20. So, it's interesting. Coleman leads Benici and Foster. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. 5 in the top 10 still through the presence of Gladwin in 6th and Dale Sharp in 7th. And that is Marty Mitchell having another spin coming onto the main straight.
Yes, we've seen how many cars do that now? 5, 6, 7 during this race. It seems to be catching a lot of drivers out, but thankfully it's the slowest place you can crash, so they were all able to continue. Just a cost to the overall lap time of Marty Mitchell. He's at the back at the moment in 24th spot, up 1 spot from where he qualified, and that's just about where his pace is. So not going to hurt him too much. He's already 44 seconds behind Calvin Little ahead of him, and just not really in the race with everybody else. But he'll be learning a lot these laps, and it'll be a good experience to get the 90 minutes under his belt, and hopefully we'll see him battling further up in some of the other races before the end of the season. And what a cracking round up to the season. We've got 3 races left. We've got sprint racing at Phillip Island, 60 minutes at Bathurst. I mean, just that alone. Do I need to mention we got 90 minutes of Road America for the final race? No, I think if you're not
90
excited,
minutes of Road America will be absolutely fantastic, but it'll be the icing on the cake of the next 2 weeks. You're absolutely right. 3:56.68 for Sean Benici. We're in the 56s now.
Just keep finding extra pace, and it's crucially it's Benici that finds it first, and he's eaten about a second into that gap from Kevin Coleman, now down to 3.5 seconds. That decision to overtake Mark Foster that we saw earlier in the race really paying dividends, because he's now 12.3 seconds ahead of Mark Foster. Mark Foster's last lap 59.6, so either Foster's doing some fuel saving or he's had a mistake. And this is the BMW of Dale Sharp catching up to Neil Gladwin in the Twitchy Racing entry. Despite being one of the Twitchy guys, I think Gladwin was the one who was ahead of that incident. So he's actually on pit sequence, pitting lap 10. And that BMW, considering it was looking like it was being outshone on full fuel, outshone a little bit earlier in the race, wasn't on full fuel. He's coming back and he's going to get another position. That's going to put him up into 6th place. So Dale Sharp doing a lovely job in that BMW and looking every bit a match for the Porsches. Although it's going to come back at him. No, that's it. Position done for Dale Sharp. He's in 6th place. Neil Gladwin relegated to 7th, but he's got a healthy 6.25 second gap to Adam Bryant behind him, who you can see at the back of your screen now.
So there goes Kevin Coleman. Geez, he's just gone about his business in a rather quiet and conventional manner tonight, hasn't he? Led most of the way from pole position. Whilst he hasn't clocked the fastest lap of the race thus far, he stayed out of trouble, and he's far enough ahead that if he just keeps it clean and hits his markers with his pit stops and doesn't run into any sort of trouble, it's going to be very hard for Benici to catch him, because they're punching out very similar lap times. And the only thing that Coleman's got to be worried about is that if Benici can close the gap, the margin in any sort of manner, he might be able to just latch on and get the slipstream, get the tow, and then all of a sudden all bets are off and the race is back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Stick around, because it's going to be quite a grandstand finish if Sean Benici can keep this pace up and keep eating into that gap. Although it has to be said, Kevin Coleman looks like he's responding on this lap. That gap just creeping back up over 3.5 seconds to 3.8 seconds now. Still plenty of time in this lap for that to come down, and that looks like it's Marty Mitchell off track again and now being overlapped by Kevin Coleman. So not sure how much of that was deliberate letting Coleman past versus an accidental going deep there, or a combination of both.
Replay. We're at the end of lap 14, so we're on the cusp of another sequence of pit stops here. This is Marty Mitchell running into more trouble, this time down at Indianapolis. Actually, no, just beyond Indianapolis. This is coming into the curves that take us, towards the end of the lap, the Porsche curves. So Frustrating for Marty. He's had... it's been a long sort of night at the office for him. He is a lap down on our race leaders now. Yeah, that's going nowhere except the back of the lane, the back of the garage, I wouldn't imagine. That's unlucky for him. And back we go to Dale Sharp, still under pressure and handling it nicely from Neil Gladwin.
Yeah, not able to pull away yet, and Neil Gladwin's sticking right with him in those corners, and now he's going to go for the overtake into the forward chicane. Going to get that done. So Dale Sharp relegated back down to 7th, but I dare say that won't last the length of the Mulsanne straight. I'll say that. There's a bit of a gap there. Maybe he can pull away long enough for Dale Sharp not to get back past. The gap's already almost a second. Only a few corners until they reach the straight, but if he can pull up another few tenths, it might just be enough to protect him from the BMW behind. And now we're seeing Adam Bryant still in battle with Tim Fuge. Tim Fuge taking that first chicane. The first part actually came much better. Get a good run out of the second part. He's going to go for the overtake or sit behind. I think Fuge is deliberately sitting behind Bryant. And I think he has been for a little while. Grant Gill saying that looked like Sharp Grant riding got slowed down. You might be right, Grant.
Yeah.
Grant enjoying his break from everything that he's been doing for the GSRC. Still proving to be a very able broadcaster, where we do need a replacement because he's done a few weeks since he stopped, but he's still enjoyed the broadcast, which is absolutely lovely to see, and really great to have watching Grant.
So this is now the closest battle on the racetrack. Adam Bryant and Tim Fuge. They head down the Mulsanne. Bryant doing a nice job here, keeping Fuge at bay. In case of what might have been for the Ferrari, I mean, had he had a better run in qualifying and worked his way up the order, I mean, starting from 18th, made a run going back. However, he's made the most of the opportunity to work his way up through the field, had a clean run, stayed mostly out of trouble, and has ended up in 8th place, and there's still another half hour to go. So the charge isn't complete, but it will rue the chance to have started a little bit further up the field by not getting the best of the track in qualifying.
Yeah, the shadows are getting very long.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a very interesting finish here over the final third of proceedings, the final half hour. We've just ticked over the hour mark of this race, and yeah, you're right. Absolutely, it is. It's Grant. We're doing our best to keep everybody informed and entertained. 15 laps gone this time by the line. I think we're going to see some pit stops here, boys, which will set us up nicely for the run of the checkered flag. Gladwin and Sharp again side by side, and Sharp undoes the damage done by that slowdown that Grant picked up on. Gets by Gladwin, but he's going to have to try and hold it as they get down to Indianapolis, and does so. Very nicely done from Dale Sharp. Geez, the Bimmer continues to punch above its weight.
Yeah, but can the Beamer break free of the 2-2 racing entry of Neil Gladwin in the Porsche? We saw him make the overtake before, and then Gladwin was able to get him back. Grant suspecting that there was a slowdown involved for Dale Sharp. So we'll see this time if he can build the gap, not get slowed down, and stay ahead. And we'll know in about 2 minutes' time whether he's done it. And you're right. Here we go, Zach. Stops once again. Coleman in, and they're going to be short. I think they're going to have to do a splash and dash at the end.
That now cements what we were suspecting earlier, that this will be a 4-stop race. No one will make it home from here. And that means that whether it's, well, looking at the clock and looking at that ticking down beneath that 28-minute threshold in a moment, and the fact that they've got another splash and dash coming up, I get the feeling that this is only going to be a 22-lap and not a 23. Whether the Pro Split boys have been able to get to 23 or not, we'll find out at the end of the night when we have a look at their results. But yes, here I suspect now we're only 7 laps from home. Coleman, Foster, Benici, Heaney, Rees, Sharp, Gladwin all on pit road. So
everyone take a time.
Huge, and everybody going for a little bit of rubber assistance here, a little bit of fresher rubber to get us through this next stint. Pit
Oh,
lane,
no.
a hub of activity and very busy.
Coleman's
Kevin Coleman, his first mistake of the night on cold tyres. Sean Benici is the leader at Le Mans. And I said only 2 minutes ago, boys, that it would take a mistake to bring Benici back into the fight, and that's exactly what Coleman's done. Just gifted him the lead.
Yeah, and did you see how twitchy it was once he got it going again? That car looked like a handful. So what's he gonna do here? Just a bit too much throttle in the middle of the chicane, and just puts him in the gravel. And we're gonna see Sean Benici go flying by in about a second's time. There he is. Thank you very much. I'll take the lead of the race for the first time. Coleman relegated second. Now we're gonna see what Coleman's got up his sleeve when he's chasing his prey in front of him, rather than trying to get away.
Just got upset on the curve. Curve just got him. He's done want to recover that as soon as possible, eh?
But can he overturn the deficit of 1.8 seconds now? Oh, all of a sudden, this race just got spicy. It just got interesting. The fight for the lead is back on.
And just to cover off, just about everybody pitting on lap 15, so I don't think anyone's going to be able to get to the end with the tank that they've got. You'd have to go on another lap or two, and nobody's out there doing that. I'd be interested to see when the likes of Gallagher, Watson, Little all pit, and whether they can stretch it out, given they've been forced into a strategy they wouldn't have wanted from the start due to various incidents. So they might be able to make it work. So, certainly, I think Gallagher and Little have got a pair of hope, given that they pitted on lap 12. So they might just be able to stretch it.
Benici, Coleman, Foster, Heaney and Wooden in the top 5. All of a sudden, 3 Ferraris in the top 5. And Porsche 6th and 7th through Holland and Gladwin. There goes Tim Fuge. And we just saw a car toe to pit lane as well. That was James Francone. It's going off at Le Mans. It always gets spicy when we get to the final half hour. Oh, no. Always gets spicy when we get to the final, stint or two. As fatigue kicks in, among other factors. Aaron Bryan, he's about to have a wild ride here. And Adam Bryant, even more so. Benici, the fastest lap of the run. Oh, jeez. Bryant did well to avoid it. Francone, unfortunately, not so. Bang. See you later.
That might be a unsafe re-entry for Tim Fuge.
Well,
across the track. I mean, he was already on the track, but
yeah, if I'm honest, it'd be a hard done by
yes,
unsafe rejoin for him because of the speed of which, at the time as he was rejoining, Francone wasn't on the scene, but obviously given the high speed around here, close proximity, a gap closes up very quickly. All of a sudden, bang, there you go. You got all sorts of drama unfolding. Kelvin Little, caught the curb and caught the Armco as well.
not a good lap for Side Hustle Racing. 2 of their entries having collisions on the cold tyres. Must be a trade of the Porsche, just not. Mind you, we saw the bit Merc as well, so none of these cars really liking to behave on the.
That's Kevin Coleman. That's Kevin Coleman. He's had another one. Kevin Coleman has
Dunlop
come unstuck again. Now, what's happened on rejoin here? He's reversed up into the wall. He's reversed up into the wall. There was no need to. This race was in Kevin Coleman's hand. He had it in his grasp. And now all of a sudden he's staring down defeat from the jaws of victory.
And he's lost the back end twice, and now he doesn't have a rear ring to help plant that back end to the ground. So he's going to have to drive very carefully if he wants to get into a position where he's able to make just the one more pit stop, get that repaired, and then continue on.
So it's
We'll do another lap after this.
Just got to wonder how effective is iRacing's race damage model to whether it does fully take away that re-downforce for the wing these days.
So he's got to finish this. He'll be able to pit at the end of this lap, won't he? Because by the time he gets to the pit lane, he'll have about 20 minutes remaining. The time in pits.
That is assuming you don't go in overtime.
Well,
yeah.
We've already been trying to crunch the numbers on that, and I suspect we won't, only because of where the clock was when they came to pit lane the third time, and throw in the fact that they've got to come down a fourth time yet. I think that's going to push us into a 22-lap situation rather than 23.
I'd rather bring the point up that Grant said before we realised that in another incident. Yeah, that's a normal procedure of most of the GT3 races, normally an hour worth of racing.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've just gone over that, and all of a sudden, the mistakes have crept in.
Fatigue. It happens all the time. Tim Fuge and Tim Watson both on pit lane. So too James Francombe, but he's going to be there for a while. He's been there for 3.5 minutes already, and he was on the tow ropes, so it's going to be a while before we see him back on the racetrack. Tim Fuge back out, Tim Watson back out. We've had Stephen Brooks retire, so too Luke Mackay, Mitch McIntyre, and also Adam Johnson. Yeah, that's a fair point. David Bernard and a few others have fallen foul of that over the years, haven't they? Not pumping the brake pedal and ending up in the wall, but the only difference was he didn't end up setting the world on fire. Actually, there's the next thing in the fight for iRacing becoming as realistic as possible. When are we going to see some fireballs when we have some race car crashes? I know it's a horrible thing to think about and a horrible thing to say, but as soon as I saw the comment about not pumping the brake pedal, I remember Bathurst 2011 and the fireball across the racetrack. Anyone else with me on that?
Well, they've got the fire animation for the McLaren, but no one else.
That's right.
They haven't even put it on the supercar, so they need to share that little animation around.
Agreed. All right, Kelvin Little into pit lane and out again.
So the question now, I think, is Coleman gets back to pit lane, pits, gets himself a fresh rear ring. He'll have his fast repair remaining, so he'll be able to get that fixed without any extra time to his stop. He's about 4 seconds behind Foster, so the question is, can he chase down that gap across the final stint once he gets his rear ring back on? Yes, it certainly is, Dale. I am right there, and
oh no,
you've been knocked out. Have you had a power cut?
Dale Sharp, yeah, that's a good point. Hello, Dale. Nice to have you on board. A little bit earlier than expected, a little bit prematurely. So that's a championship implicating a technical issue because you can't race without power. And if the power's being cut in South Australia, we might lose Liam Banks at some point.
I was going to say, he must be near me because the storm just hit here as well. It hit here about maybe 5-10 minutes ago, so it's got to be pretty near me. But I've still got power, so fingers crossed that lasts for another 20 minutes.
Sharpie out, 2 laps ago, so the end of lap 15, and again, the tech issues of the sim world are the mechanical issues of the real world, and he's gone. Unlucky for Sharpie because he was the best running. Well, actually, no, he was the only running BMW left in the field, and therefore the best running by process of elimination and default. And now all of a sudden, not factoring in the equation, Ryan Wood and Adam Holland on pit road, Benici, Foster, Coleman. Benici's lead now is 14.5 seconds on the back of that second mistake for Coleman, who is 4 seconds down on Mark Foster. Greg Heaney, what a great run this has been from the Ferrari in 4th place. He's 23 seconds to the good on Gladwin. The field is terribly spread out now. It's we're going to be pushing the proverbial uphill for the next few minutes, I'd say.
Interesting to note, Coleman didn't pit on the last lap. Despite missing the rear wing, he did not pit. That's a helmet. I enjoy that the eye is looking away from the visor, so the visor's doing nothing for that eye. It's amazing that he can drive so well, despite what seems to be some sort of cross-eyedness. That's
whatever the opposite of cross-eyedness is, because both eyes are pointing outwards.
Well, I know in the IT crowd it's cross-eyedness, is what they call it. I don't know if it's a real thing. with the famous "That's right, we're looking at you" thing. Anyway, enough pop culture references. We got Mark Foster now 4.2 seconds ahead of Kevin Coleman. So Kevin Coleman last lap at 4:2. So it's only costing him a couple of seconds a lap. Is his lack of a rear wing. So not too bad, but you'd think you'd want to reduce that invoice as much as possible and get into the pit. So evidently not feeling comfortable to pit last lap, although all the evidence points to the fact that that would get you to the end. So it'd be... Well, we'll wait and see what Coleman does, but he's got to make a decision. He's got Greg Heaney, who we're just on board with, only 6 seconds back. So in a few laps, Heaney will be on his tail if he doesn't do something.
Here, coming in a shot is Adam Bryant, a beneficiary of the misfortune for Dale Sharp, of course. Benici, Foster, Coleman, Heaney, Gladwin, Bryant, Kosh. So Bryant up 12 spots, O'Loughlin up 12 spots, Kosh up 10. The big movers of the night. Aaron Bryan, however, the biggest mover of the night, up 14. But that's having started rear of grid, having not qualified, I do believe. Yeah, so Adam Lavis will have to punch the numbers after the fact, because I don't believe you count. So you can be classified for the bonus points, can you, Adam, if you don't qualify? Is that right, for most positions gained?
Yeah, there's a caveat that you have to have set a representative qualifying time.
Correct, and there were 2 drivers that didn't by my count.
Yeah,
what if you're just really terrible and you tried but you didn't get a clean lap in?
Well, it's representative, so I compare it to your race times.
Yep.
All right. Speaking from experience, I've done that before.
He puts in a lot of hard yakka.
He does. He does Adam.
Yeah, if you're qualifying, it's like 5 seconds off your race time. There's a bit of a consistency there.
Yeah.
Just slowly working my way back through the field. Took a couple of guys in the broadcast have been on there because they've just been sort of having a bit of a lonely race. Saw Brandon Loughlin with some battles earlier in the race, but Sean Rees, top 10. Haven't seen any more race. He's just been quietly just chilling under the radar, getting himself a top 10 result.
He has been doing well, and we're just mentioning inconsistencies. Inconsistent is the fact that Ryan Jarrod's down at 14th place and he's just put in the fastest lap of the race with a 3:56.646. So dude's got some serious pace, but down at 14th.
Him and Eldridge both had an early pit stop to shoot from penalties of some sort. So I'm not sure what iRacing's done to give him a penalty, but I think that's what's cost them a bit of time at the start of the race. Bryant's the first to jump.
And once again, Coleman.
And we're past that critical lap as well, gentlemen. Past that critical lap number.
So they will make it home from here. Will Bryant, Gallacher, and Brian. So really good news for Gallacher. Seems he was able to stay on the correct pit strategy. And that earlier incident just costing him the time limit incident, not forcing him into making an extra stop.
So interestingly, Eldridge, even though he said that early penalty pit stop or whatever at the start, he's now 1 stop away from everyone else. So he'll probably lose a bit of time because he's pitted. No, actually, no, he's on the same track. He pitted lap 15. So Eldridge has fought his way back into the top 10, almost in the top 5, even with that lap 1 penalty of some sort. Good recovery so far.
Yeah, he's had decent but not earth-shattering pace. His best of 3:57.8, but his last is a 3:58, so evidently he's been able to put in that pace pretty consistently, and that's what's got him back up there. Although he has got Tristan Coates right behind him within 3/4 of a second. Coach racing for, that looks like a Side Hustle Racing entry, and then we got Twitchy Foot ahead of them.
Benici the leader by 15 seconds. We're on the run to the checkered flag. We're on lap 19. So next time by the line will be 3 laps to go, including a splash and dash. And that's the thing. Will they run the tank dry so that they only have to take 2 laps of fuel? I mean, irrespective, if they've got a full tank, they'll only have to take enough to get another 2 laps out of it to get home. So we're past that critical lap. We're past that point where Yes, there's no one going to be 3 stopping here. It is distinctly a 4-stop race. A rarity for a 90-minute race, Adam Lavis.
So did you reckon it's going to be only 22 laps now rather than 23?
Yes.
Oh, because that puts Holland and Wooden being
Back
lap
into
17.
it.
They might be able to get home here. So
Holland absolutely, and Wooden as well. Now, just keep an eye on it, because when Benici comes back to the line, if he comes into the lane, we're going to get a real clear indication. He's only doing, the last time round was a 3:59.280, so they're not clocking anywhere near that 3:56 mark that they were a moment ago. Benici crosses the line now, and that's 12 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. He's just crossed the line, under 12:10 to go, but he's got a stop to make. So that's going to balance out the clock, so it's 3 laps from here.
Yeah, they're not going to make the
They're not going to make 23.
Not going to do a pit stop in under 10 seconds.
No. Well, not going to do the transit. Yeah.
Oh, Heaney's bugging up his penetrance.
That'll be a penalty, won't it?
Possibly not, because it's before the yellow cone. But maybe. It depends on how harsh our racing is. We'll have to wait and see.
So this is what happened to Heaney on pit.
Just too deep with brakes on the machine. Well deep. There could be a penalty there, though, because he has actually made time, so...
Not the first person to do it either, given by the fact that there was some tracks ahead of him.
And, let's see, he's stopped now 5, 6, 7, so if he held on, he gets out.
And that would cost him a top 5 finish if that's the case.
Well, yeah, the fact that he's already gone over halfway of fuel, it's only a half stop, I would assume this is a penalty. He's now gone past the full tank of fuel stop, so I think that has pinged him.
That's disaster for Greg Heaney, because he was staring down a top 5 finish. Now drops to 8th, 9th. Oh, he snatched a... He's denied himself a chance at a top 5 finish. Extraordinary for Greg Heaney. Again, those little 1%ers as fatigue kicks in. You miss a braking marker, you miss an apex, or you completely overshot the pit line limiter. Out he goes in 51.40.
So be a
51.40.
Yeah, 40-second penalty on top of his 11.5 second stop. Still, that's one of the things that does frustrate me with iRacing. I really wish they would give us the option to be able to set our own penalties, because 40 seconds is a bit too harsh for a pit violation.
Maybe that'll be the next big thing of the rain.
Well, that's the other thing. I think a lot of their focus has been on tracks, cars, and the rain, not so much on the back end of the UI to try and make the league situation better.
But maybe that'll change at some point. Obviously,
Maybe
big
so.
focus at the moment is getting in all the hypercars.
Yes.
2 on the way.
They probably need a few more TCR manufacturers as well. They'll probably be getting some pressure to bring in the new gen supercars, this, that, and the other. It's a never-ending circus. It's a revolving door of evolution and change, I guess you could say.
So just pop the
2.25 laps to go, boys.
Just pop the pit lap thing. So we are assuming the people who pitted on lap 17 are safe. We know the people on lap 8 are going to be safe. So that's what we're looking at. So anyone who's still on 15, they've still got a pit. Or 16.
That's right. And those pit stops will be coming in the next minute, because Sean Benici's on the run home on this 20th lap.
And we're starting to see some headlights.
Absolutely we are. We'll be getting perilously close to that 9 o'clock local time marker, which reminds me, hello Queensland, hello Western Australia. This is what summer looks like. Far better than reaching for candles, torches, pitchforks, all that other rubbish that Queensland seems to do at about 6 o'clock.
So
very similar to Salem in that way.
So Colin took a full tank of fuel.
And he was still in too, according to Grant Gill.
Yeah, he's done an 18-second stop, so he had to take a full tank of fuel
So Benici's in the pit from the lead, and Mark Frost has followed him.
Actually, I think Coleman's packed up. He's no longer on, so he's not showing up.
Yep, he said, that's it, I've had enough, I'm done. And now in the pit lane, and that's really unfortunate for Coleman. Down 18 spots on where he started. It was well, that too. Benici and Foster into pit lane. They're now topping up for that next 2 laps in that run to the checkered flag. We've got a 3-way fight here. Brian, Bryant, and Gallagher. Now this is on because these guys are good to go to the flag. Gladwin's in as well. Eldridge Kosh will follow. So too Rees and O'Loughlin. But the rest of them are good, except for Colbreth, Fuge, Francone, Watson, Little, and Coleman. Coleman's out of business. Coleman's done. We believe it's a packet loss because it's 19.21 laps. He's over on the Mulsanne somewhere and out of business. That was a race that was his for the taking right up until the start of that 3rd stint, really. Start of the 4th stint, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, made a couple of mistakes, but was still in the battle for 2nd. But then, yeah, getting unlucky with the connection. Wonder if he's another South Aussie that's been hit by this storm that we've got. So hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah,
but,
there was no indication of him actually going into the pits on the tracker. So I think that was more just thinking in a drop out.
Yeah, he said there was a comment from him saying that it was a dropout. So we've had confirmation from the man himself that that's what happened, which is a shame because the podium was still there and 2nd place was still on the cards with a really strong final stint. But still drove absolutely fantastically. A couple of mistakes on cold tyres, really easily done. I expect we'll see him a race before the end of the season if he comes back for the Phillip Island, Bathurst and Road American rounds.
So it looks like now they should be mostly cleansed here. So this should be basically our reward to the end. See how these guys go.
Yeah, Mark Foster losing a heap of time to Sean Benici at the front of the field in those stops. 20-second stop for Foster compared to 13.85 for Benici. So that gap out front, 22 seconds. Super comfortable for Benici. Take it easy from here and still come home to win the race out of Canter. So now for Benici, it's just all about making sure he doesn't make mistakes. Foster's also got a really healthy gap. 24 seconds down to Gladwin in 3rd, so the top 3 is all sorted. Gladwin's the only one under any sort of pressure, but he's still got 9 seconds to Eldridge behind him. So really for these 3, it's a case of just bring it home, and these should be your podium finishers. Live battles on track are Greg Heaney battling for 5th place with Tristan Coach, and then Brian and Gallagher battling with Brian for 11th place, and to be the first to be able to inherit a top 10 should one of the top 10 have an instant before the end of the race.
Let's just hope we haven't put the mocker on it by saying that now for Sean Benici as well. Liam Banks, 22.25 seconds to the good. We're watching Aaron Bryan there in 12th place at the moment. Yep, nearly 9 o'clock server time at Le Mans. And still a lap and a half to go. Marvellous night of racing it's been. Yep, sure, it's dragged out and become a little bit processional in the later stages, but we've still got Tristan Koch and Greg Heaney fighting for 6th place. Now, that shouldn't have been a battle had Heaney not been pinned 40 seconds or slugged 40 seconds for tripping up at pit entry. But that gives us something to be excited about in the top 5 in the closing stages here. We're watching Bryant, Bryan and Gallagher. The fastest lap of the race for Ryan Jarrett, 3:56.646. He's down 12 spots on where he started as well. He was one of the early casualties. It's been a big night. This is Greg Heaney into the top 5 on the inside of Tristan Koch. Well done. Down to the end of the Mulsanne.
And this is after Heaney had his penalty.
Yep.
For getting the pit lane entry where it's wrong. So this is him in the top 5 with a 40-second, what we believe was a 40-second stop and hold penalty. So, you know, if you take that out of the correction, he's up into the podium positions. As he's only 18 seconds behind Gladwin.
Roughly, if you take the 40 seconds off, it'd be 4 seconds behind Foster.
It's a real shame for Heaney because he's had terrific pace, but yeah, you've got to get pit entry right, and you've got to do it 4 times in a row. He's just got it wrong. Really easy mistake to make, and it's like you said, it's a really harsh penalty for the crime. 40 seconds is far too much.
It's race defining. It's race ending in many respects. But luckily for Heaney, it hasn't cost him a top 5 finish here.
I mean, it's half a lap over a standard race.
It has cost him 4th, but he gets a top 5 finish +3 on where he started. 5 places up for Sean Benici. We're on the last lap at Le Mans. The white flag has been waved. Mark Foster is second, 25 seconds back. Neil Gladwin a further 23 back on that. Eldridge, Heaney, Kosh. Heaney and Kosh, the battle worth keeping an eye on, except for this one here between Aaron Bryan and Stephen Gallacher, 12th and 13th. They're the only 2 battles on the racetrack at the moment after what's been an interesting narrative playing out in front of us. Many different ebbs and flows, twists and turns, and a couple of hard luck stories, not least Dale Sharp with the weather situation over there in Adelaide. I mean, the guys that got caught up in incident on the opening lap as well, that was just silly. And have a look at this now. Down the inside, Gallacher on Bryan. Gallacher to 12th. Bryan wants to force the issue and fight back on the inside to turn 1, and does so. But it's not done yet. Sean Benici, a very nicely executed game plan here. Well thought out race, and it came to him. It fell into his lap with the incident for Coleman, all on his own doing, I might add. And then the second one was just the icing on the cake. Benici's been unchallenged from there. Great story for Mark Foster. And Neil Gladwin, of course, in the Porsche. Is going to make it 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 in a Ferrari-dominated field. 1, 2, 3, 4 Porsches, 5 Ferraris in the top 10, and then just the single Merc of Mark Foster. But this guy, it's become a training run. An elongated practice session in the closing stages here. And just by keeping his nose clean, Sean Benici's going to claim a commanding win here at Le Mans. A quarter of a lap to go. We're into overtime in about 25 seconds. There won't be much of it, but just enough to save us from getting to a 23rd lap and dragging it out for another 4 minutes. 11 past 10 local time, Eastern Standard Time, as we broadcast to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's just gone 9 o'clock server time. Big night on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and not over yet because we do have our post-race show coming up where we'll dissect this race. We'll bring you the results from the GT3 Pro Split and so much more. But we've got to do it quickly. We're on a tight rein tonight because Adam Lavis has got an early alarm tomorrow morning. Through they come. Sean Benici for Ferrari at Le Mans. Too good in the end. Last corners, checkered flag. Benici, dominant, brilliant at the Circuit de la Sarthe.
Barney.
What are you doing, Barney? Taking the night off again, slacking off as per usual, lazy prick. I don't like him. I really don't. Foster, brilliant performance from him, Liam Banks. McLaren doing good things, obviously, in the Pro Split through Matty Dench, but this guy punching above his weight with the McLaren in the Pro-Am, in the Am Split, I should say, and he's going to get a rightfully, richly deserved second place finish there.
Yeah, he's going to get a handy second place finish in the championship as well, of course. 9-minute race, so extra points on offer. If you're going to get a podium, tonight is the right night to do it, and that's what Mark Foster's done, so look for him to leap up from 5th place in the standings to possibly one of the podium positions, depending on where his comrades in that title fight have all finished. And now Neil Gladwin crosses the line to take the final position on the podium, inherited it after there was devastation for Coleman, first with an incident, and then suffering a loss of connection, which took him out of the podium spot. Got lucky with Heaney as well, picking up a 40-second penalty on pit entry, but Gladwin, good value for his podium and the only Porsche to finish on the podium and the highest of many Porsches in the field. Eldridge brings it home in 4th, and Heaney in 5th place. And we've just watched Braden O'Loughlin bring it over the line. He's going to get 9th place, and Wooden is going to bring it home. Final position in the top 10 after an early incident with Stephen Gallagher, and the Twitchy Foot Racing guys will be wondering what could have been. Could easily have been much better for them tonight. Perhaps a 4th, 5th, 6th, or something of that ilk, but instead going to have to settle for what I believe is 4th, 10th, and 13th.
Yep, definitely a case of what might have been there. That was just one of the stings in the tail of the night that was.
And
That's
Jared
a two-car incident.
Jared as well will be wondering what could have been, because he started in second place, but then made a mistake into the first corner, and no, he didn't make the mistake in the first corner. What happened to Jared?
It's some sort of a penalty and a pit in the first second lap.
That's right.
And
That's right.
So yeah, a few little instances there with Jared. I think his first race back, he just rejoined the club today, so might be a little bit of sim rust to shake off.
True.
But yeah, he's definitely had some pace. He was setting a couple of fast laps there, got a good qualifying position. So just get that ring rust off and back to next week and have another crack.
Yeah, they always say the pace is the thing that's hardest to teach, and he's got that in bucket spades, given the fact that he's got the fastest lap of the race with a 3:56.646 and was second in qualifying. So, like I said, just that ring rust getting it home, and he'll be fighting at the top of the AM split before the end of the season, I don't doubt. And if not this season, then certainly next season, if he's not too fast and gets promoted before then. And that's Tim Fuge crossing the line. 15th was battling a lot higher up earlier on, but had a couple of incidents after some really good battling with Adam Bryant, the Ferrari versus the Porsche. But yeah, coming off second best in the end after an incident after the third pit stop, I believe.
Very kind words from Grant Gill there a few seconds ago as well. So thank you, mate. There you go. Quite a great night of racing. The server has now come to a close. We're complete. We're done. Some donut work there on the Mulsanne as we wind down on the cool-down lap and reflect on what was a very good 90-minute enduro here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. We've got two of the top three standing by to have a chat to us. Hopefully Sean Benici won't be too far away either. But what about that? Sean from Mark Foster, Neil Gladwin, Dean Eldridge and Greg Heaney. 3 Ferraris in the top 5. Tristan Koch, Sean Rees, Adam Holland, Braden O'Loughlin and Ryan Wooden made up the top 10. Beyond that, Brian Gallacher, Jared with the fastest lap of the race. Fuge, Franco and Colbreth. Watson was the last of the cars home on the lead lap. Kelvin Little and Marty Mitchell a lap down. Coleman 3 laps down in the end because obviously he dropped out late in the piece. Sharp, Carrick a retirement despite starting from pit lane. Didn't see what happened to him in the end. Stephen Brooks, Luke Mackay, Mitch McIntyre and Adam Johnson all retirements as well. There you go. Night. Let's dissect it now and reflect with the top 3 who are standing by now that Mr. Benici's joined us here in the booth. Hey, boys, well done. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. A somewhat processional ending to proceedings, but it was very entertaining in the outset. I want to start with you, Mark Foster, because again, the McLaren is doing great things and you are really punching above your weight here. Porsche and Ferrari are prevalent in the top 10. You're the sole soldier for McLaren, and by gee, you can be proud of that.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciated that, mate. Yeah, look, it was a great race actually. The start was fantastic, and I think I was P2 or P3, and I don't know what happened, but first stop I took 2 tyres on the left, and that was it. It just kind of killed my pace. So pretty much from there, from that first stop, I was about a second off the pace, and I just couldn't keep up with Sean, who was flying, and then poor old Kev. He's had a bad second half of the race, unfortunately for him, but he was very unlucky.
Well, that's exactly right. He somewhat gifted the race to you, didn't he? He spun off at turn 1, fresh off a pit stop. You wouldn't have been able to believe your luck. You would have been pitching yourself. And then, of course, whatever happened somewhere down the line, I think at Indianapolis or at the Dunlop curves, one of the two, he's backed it into the wall down there. Then he's dropped out of the server altogether. So at one point there, you would have been looking at third and thinking, that's the goal post for tonight. That's a win. That's the best we can do. And all of a sudden, you've inherited second, mate.
I'm not going to complain about it at all. but absolutely, I was sitting back after that first pit stop saying, well, I'm in third. I think I had about 4 or 5 seconds over whoever was in fourth at the time, and I was just trying to hold that. And I honestly didn't even think I was going to be able to hold that for a while. And then once all that happened to Kevin and Sean was miles down the road, I just concentrated on getting the 0x for the race and that bonus point as well, which I think I got, which was nice. And just keeping it clean and not doing exactly what Kevin did and bidding it just because I'm tired and hot and sweaty, and when you're by yourself it's a bit hard to concentrate for that long.
I'm going to hand over to Liam Banks in a few moments to send some questions in the direction of you blokes, because after your 4 pit stops, I need to take my first. But in saying all of that, before we do, I want to stick with you, Mark, and ask you, were you surprised by how far spread out the field was and how processional that race become? Because this is a circuit known for pace and speed and slipstream, and by the time we got to about the third stint, there was barely any of that happening still.
Yeah, I was. Honestly, the Ferrari was much faster than I'd seen before and than I anticipated. So when Sean, I let Sean get past me without too much of a fight, so I didn't have to. My plan was to sit with him and just let him try and drag us back up to Kevin, but he was gone. And I think there was an incident or a few slowdowns behind me in the first couple of laps, which caused that gap to row, and it grew a lot faster than I think anyone was anticipating. Probably wasn't the most exciting race, unfortunately.
All right, I've got a couple more questions that I want to fire at you when I come back in a couple of moments, Mark Foster. In the meantime, Liam, what have you got for him?
I guess my first question is, we've heard a little bit about how fast the Ferrari was from yourself. How did it compare to the Merc out front? Because let's not forget that up until his mistake, it looked like we were going to have a different winner there. So how do you think the McLaren compared to the Mercedes?
I think Sean had it over Kevin in the end. Just he seemed a lot faster on the straights, and I mean, look, honestly, I wasn't really good for that long to look at strengths and weaknesses of them. They were both faster than McLaren for me. So, but I still think that Sean would have probably got him at the end.
Which is a really good segue into our first question for Sean. If we move on to yourself, and when Zach gets back, we'll head back to Mark Foster so Zach can wrap up his questions. Basically, I'm going to ask you the question around what Mark was just talking about, which is, do you think you would have got the victory even without the disconnect and without that incident just before the disconnect for your main rival?
I think it would have been close. He was keeping steady with me. I don't know if he was trying to save fuel, but I'd gain just a tiny bit each lap, and then I'd lose it a little bit. And unfortunately, he spun coming out of the pits. It benefited me because I had taken tires on that stop, but I think it would have been a close fight at the end.
Yeah, I think it would have been a close fight. I'll definitely pay that, because it looked like you were just bringing that lead down slowly but surely in the stint beforehand. And I thought we were shaping up to have a really good battle at the end there. Was that... How much of that was, I guess... There was a point in the race earlier on where you were behind Mark Frost and then you went for the overtake. And from that point on, you were able to drop him. Were you confident when you went for the overtake that you would be able to... that you worked the quicker driver and would be able to get past him? Or was it just a bit opportunistic and see how it went at the time?
I thought I was faster, but I really wasn't trying to go for the overtake. I was trying to save fuel at that point, and just use this draft and push both of us up, because I feel like 2 cars is going to be faster than 1, just to close some of that gap. And when he let me go by, I said, oh, well, if that changed the game plan, I'm just going to go as hard as I can to try to close the gap myself. And unfortunately, he had that mishap, and I was able to, but I was slowly getting it without the draft help. But I knew once I got past the McLaren, I didn't think could keep up.
Yeah, and this is a question for both of you, Sean and Mark, and Neil. I know we haven't got to you yet, but feel free to answer this as well if you've got different thoughts. Did either of you give any thought towards trying to turn it into a free stop race and finding those 2 extra laps somewhere early in the race. Do you think saving a lap worth of fuel could be done in a stint, or was it always going to have to be four stops with a 2-stop splash and dash towards the end? 2-lap splash and dash.
For myself, I'm terrible at saving fuel, so it wasn't even in the cards for me. I figured I was going to lose too much time on track versus just taking that extra stop at the end.
Pretty much the same for me. I didn't even really consider it. When I saw how long the race was, and I tried to calculate in my head how many laps I needed to save, I thought it was just too many to even consider.
Yeah, fair enough. Pretty consistent answers there. Just too hard around a track this long, and perhaps not something that you're as comfortable with as well. It'll be interesting to see if when we'll get to Matty Dench and the pro split in a moment, but interesting to see what his answer is and whether that correlates. I suspect they may have had an extra lap there as well, which would complicate the equation. Before we do that, we just had a quick chat with Sean Benici. Zach?
Yeah, I was going to say I did listen to you guys from upstairs because, as you know, I listened to the laptop. Sorry, I don't listen to the laptop. I watched the laptop for the comments that come in on the Facebook feed whilst the broadcast was on. So I took that with me to the cubicle so I could have a listen to what you blokes were saying so that I didn't double up on the questions that Liam's been asking you. It's interesting that you talk about fuel strategy, though, because we were sitting here crunching the numbers saying, you know, some of these 90-minute races are 3 stops. Some of them are 4, but obviously, as the boys said, there's an art to the fuel saving. iRacing have tightened the belts on how creative you can be with that, with some changes in recent weeks and months, and that might have also played a part. But as you say, when the track's 13.5 bloody kilometres long, it's a fair stretch. It's a fair gamble to try and stretch it out any more than you absolutely have to. So the boys committed to 4 stops, and that ended up being the winning formula here throughout the course of the night in the AM split. Of course, behind and well done on the win too, Sean. A great drive from you, mate. It somewhat got handed to you there. We were worried. We were watching and seeing if Kevin Coleman was going to claw back that deficit because it was only about 2 seconds after he rejoined the circuit after spinning there at turn 2. But then obviously he's run into more trouble. So that would have been about the only point of the race where you had any sort of pressure on you, mate.
Yeah, I was closing the gap a little bit on him. I was hoping for a close finish at the end, or a close battle. And it's super unfortunate that he spun. But yeah, it was. I'll tell you, I'm sweating. I was trying to keep up with him, and then trying to get away from him. And then after that, I could kind of relax, just make sure I hit my marks. Unfortunately, I did get 1x. Pushing so hard trying to catch him, but I'll take that versus being in the wall. So.
Well, that's exactly right. Get your thoughts on the final 3 rounds in just a moment, boys. Let's bounce across and go to Neil Gladwin and say well done on third. First of the Porsches home. And again, a situation where there were a couple of contenders ahead of you there on the grid, mate, that fell by the wayside, and some smart tactical play on your part saw you move up 6 spots on where you started. Third place, well done.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I'll take any luck that I could get driving the Porsche around there. 2 or 3 seconds slower, let me tell you. But yeah, I was probably lucky. I had a teammate, so I was trying to squeeze in between a couple of Ferraris for a few laps there to try to get a bit of a tow. But then Ryan and Steve took each other out and bounced off a curve, so that was a bit of fun. But luckily, I didn't get caught up in that, and. Yeah, I guess a little bit of luck there, and glad to be. It's been a while since I've been on the podium, so good to be back up again. I tell you.
You were very lucky in that regard, actually, because at one point there it could have been 10-pin bowling. All 3 of you could have been gone. A clean bowled strike sort of scenario, but that was a bizarre sort of incident, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think one of them bounced off the curb or something like that. It was just pure accident. So
did Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, the boss won't be happy, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Stranger things have happened on racetracks, but it's always awkward when teammates get into teammates, albeit inadvertently. That being said, that kind of took away some of your ability to be creative with strategy play and teamwork, mate, because from that point you were a lone soldier.
Well, yeah, it was just what you guys were saying there before. Like I kind of couldn't back off and try to conserve fuel because I was a few seconds slower. So I figured I just had to keep punching on and just, just get consistency. And that's really, that was the main thing. But I think like having, we're using the digital race engineers, like one of our new sponsors, and the race engineer side of things really played a big part in that fuel. Just giving me the heads up on everything that was going through there as well. It was really great.
Tyre strap, mate. How was the wear and tear?
I didn't have too much problem with the tyres. I only replaced the fronts on the second, but then literally I saw that it's a pretty easy track. It was pretty cool, so I didn't change any but the front two on the second pit stop. That was it.
Very nicely done. And again, because you weren't able to conserve, you were committed to a 4-stop anyway, so you're probably lucky that the other boys were too.
Yeah, I think, I think with the Porsche tyres, kind of, if you're watching there, like the Ferraris would kind of catch me up on the straight, but I was fortunately had them a bit quicker through the Porsche curves and stuff like that, and Corvette curves. So it was kind of like a little bit of backwards and forwards, give and take, but held them off in the end. So I was happy with that.
Very nicely done. Now, obviously, 3 rounds left. Horsepower heavy circuits as well. You'd be worried about that, given that this is also a horsepower heavy circuit and you're a little bit off the pace tonight. Phillip Island, Road America, and in between Bathurst. Your thoughts?
Well, I have to admit, tonight I was running the standard iRacing medium downforce sprint setup, so I hadn't really had much of a chance to play with setups around this track. So with working with that, with that basic setup to get that result, I got to say I'm pretty wrapped too. So with the other ones, I'll spend a bit more time. Hopefully, I'll be able to compensate in the next 3.
All right, very nicely done. Stay with me there, guys. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Let's get to the pro split in the meantime. Greg Heaney's also standing by, and I'll come back to you as well, Greg. Thank you, because I do want to ask you about that last pit stop just quietly. There are the results from the pro split. Somewhat unsurprising to see the name on top just quietly. 3:53, 6:81 for Matty Dench. On the last lap, they did get to 23, but they would have obviously, it'll be interesting to see whether they needed 3 or 4 stops to do it. Matty Dench, welcome into you. I'll get to second and third in just a moment. Great to see Daniel Birchnell having a great run there and getting on to the podium. Matt, welcome to you. Another win, well done. Extend the championship lead out. It's almost secured once more, and we've got 3 weeks to go. This is an extraordinary performance from you. Just keep racking the numbers together and putting the performances together. The McLaren, talk us through tonight. Talk us through 1, tyre wear, and 2, how many stops in the strategy, please?
Tyres were pretty good. Like 60% at the end of the race for me. The start of the race didn't go all that well. I picked up a horrible slowdown in turn 2 on the opening lap of 2 seconds, and I waited till the back straight to serve it, so I didn't hold anyone up. And I dropped back to P15, so I just played some fuel shenanigans and skipped the pit stop and got the lead.
Okay, typical Dench playing fuel shenanigans. So did you manage to do it on 3 stops or 4?
3.
Okay, so there's the 15 seconds for you, ladies and gentlemen. What about that? Great performance from you as per usual. We're not really surprised. Nice to avenge the Porsche frustration last time we were here.
Yeah, most definitely.
So now, 3 circuits that suit you, but next week, Phillip Island and Invert Racing. That's the unknown, isn't it? Because we know that Invert Racing hasn't been your best friend in the past.
I mean, I've kind of got a bit of a handle on the old invert race there now, so we just got to take it easy at the start and just try to sneak through some positions every now and then.
Let the rubbish take itself out as well. Interesting as well. Before we go any further, let's talk about Bathurst, because we know that you got a checkered history with there as well.
Yeah, I've never driven McLaren around Bathurst, but I've seen it go pretty fast around there. So maybe I'll have to get some tips from somebody, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe SMS Shane Wallace. He might be able to help you. I'm pretty sure he took it around there in the real world in a very fast manner of speaking a couple of years ago. We'll wait and see what you can do with it in a couple of weeks' time. But first, we must get through Phillip Island, mate. Well done. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday for the Porsches.
Yeah, it should be a good week of racing, I reckon.
I'm going to keep this as tight as I possibly can, guys, because we've got to bounce out of here quickly. Because Adam Lavis has got an early alarm tomorrow morning. I got that memo last week. I haven't forgotten, but we knew that tonight was going to be a late finish because it was A, Le Mans, and B, obviously, a 90-minute feature. Let's go from Matty Dench to Richard Mitchum. Mate, well done. Great performance. No mean feat to get through 90 minutes around here unscathed. And by no means a bad thing to be second when it's M. Dench ahead of you.
Yeah, a bit disappointing, really. We put it on pole, led every lap, apart from the last couple. I think big consideration at the start, like, what do I try and drop into the pack and save the fuel? But is that going to cost enough time? So decided to go flat out and build the gap, which did a decent job of, but the offset, I think it was, if anything, I think Matt going backwards and having to come back through the field and having a tow for the first 3 stints probably helped him out, if anything. So that slowdown may well. I'm sure he would have figured it out otherwise. But yeah, I think strategy didn't quite play out. I think it would have been, obviously in hindsight, better to drop back into second and fuel saved for the first 3 stints instead of trying to build the gap. But the pace was good, so can't complain when there's only Mr. Dench in front.
The next 3 circuits, they're not Europeans, so I know you'll have mixed views about them.
Yeah, see how it goes. None of them are particularly my favourites, but we will see. Sometimes a car and just clicks around there, and I'm not too bad. So yeah, we will see. And yeah, go Kerry.
I was going to say, are you on the grid for the whole 3 rounds, or have you got commitments taking you elsewhere, mate?
Nope, should be here for the rest of the season now. But I think championship-wise, it's off the table now. I think I've missed way too many rounds this season.
Well, not only that, but Dench is also out in front by a fairly considerable margin as well. He was coming into the night 96 points clear and a win over, I didn't see Simon Cox in the top 3 there, nor Nick Wood, nor Oscar Glissett. So I think Denchy's going to be well out in front and in complete and utter control, even with the drop rounds coming into the equation at the end of the night. Hey, Richard, thank you. Well done. Looking forward to actually watching you in action in the next 3 weeks, because our broadcast will go back to the Pro Split from the second race of next week's program, and we'll follow you through Bathurst and Road America as well. Thanks, mate.
Yes.
All right, Daniel Birchnell. Hey, well done, mate. A podium finish, a 90-minute feature around Le Mans. No mean feat, and not an easy race to get through the process of, because we saw, particularly in the AM split, I mean, obviously we've been watching that for the last couple of hours, that as we got further and further into it, fatigue and therefore mistakes crept in. So to keep the focus and the concentration up for 90 minutes and to bring it home in a podium position, you must be stoked with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was good to get the 2 twitchy foot Ferraris on the front row. So yeah, once Rich was off and running, I had to pretty much do the same. I had no tow for most of the race, so yeah, it was just go flat out and hope for the best to try and build that gap.
And it's a tough slog around here without the tow, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that tow can give you a big advantage fuel-wise and time-wise.
Indeed it can. But a great result for you and for the team as well, mate, and a nice little confidence booster heading into the final 3 races of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't take tyres. I elected not to take tyres. I think the Ferrari's really good on tyres. That's why I've been sticking with it. Really happy with that. So actually pulling into the pits for the last last stint, Digital Race Engineer reminded me I needed to take the tyres off, so I need to thank that as well. It could have cost me 4 tyres worth of sitting in the pits.
And as I bring Liam Banks back in at this point in time, that's the beauty of GT3 racing, isn't it, mate? I mean, there are so many different variables. Tonight, the Porsche was lacking in outright lap speed, as Neil Gladwin said. The Ferrari was more gentle and kinder on its tyres. Different horses for courses, different race cars suit different race tracks, and that's why we love GT3 racing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the one constant in GT3 racing is it doesn't matter what car you put Matty Dench behind the wheel of, it seems to be the right car for the track.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, Daniel, Phillip Island next stop. As Aussies, we love that race track.
Yeah, I love Phillip Island, and my favourite one's after that, Bathurst, so looking forward to that.
Very nicely done. Thank you, mate, for stopping by. We appreciate that. I am short for time. Otherwise, I'd stay and chat a little bit longer, but good luck for the rest of the week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And at that point in time, Sean Benici, I mean, obviously, we pick up the strong American accent there. You must love the fact that we ended at an historic American venue like Road America.
To be honest, Road America has been a thorn in my side.
Oh, no.
I can't seem to get around there to save me at all. Bathurst is probably my strongest track left. I've never turned a lap at Phillip Island, so should be interesting.
You're in for a treat. Phillip Island is amazing.
Absolutely. Yep. How much work do you put in each and every week to racetrack preparation, more so than car prep, racetrack preparation, Sean? Because some drivers jump in and pick it up in about 5 minutes and they're happy with limited prep. Others need a little bit more to feel comfortable in the car and confident. Where do you sit?
I race officials all week long to get that lap time, or to get those laps in and the practice with other cars. And so I just do officials all week, and I juggle that with other series that I run, the LMP3 car. So it can be quite the juggle. But yeah, just officials during the week and ready to go on race night. So.
All right. Very nicely done. And whilst we've got Mark Foster and Neil Gladwin here as well, 3 different formats in as many weeks to finish the season, boys. That keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, no doubt. I do like the longer races, I have to admit. The short sprint races aren't my favourite. I just feel sometimes everyone's in too much of a hurry in the start, you know what I mean? So for me, I love to sort of settle into a 60 or a 90-minute race and just get comfortable and head down and eyes forward.
Yep. Mark Foster, your thoughts?
Yeah, I prefer the longer races too, but I'm looking forward to the island next week. It's one of my local tracks, so it's great fun. Bathurst is, well, who knows? Denchi will smash the McLaren around Bathurst. I go okay, but nothing too fancy. But yeah, it should be good. And I just wanted to say as well, I really appreciate you guys broadcasting the AMP split as well these last few weeks. It's been excellent.
Glad to hear that you guys are enjoying it. We're enjoying it too. You've put on a very good show. Tonight's a little bit quieter, but not without its entertainment and drama along the way. Guys, thank you. Denchi, I'm going to bring you back in at this point in time, and then I'll get to Greg Heaney. We get to this point of the season and everyone starts talking about BOP updates and how the game's going to change. Do you ever get edgy or nervous about that?
No, not really. Not at all.
No, because at the end of the day, you're a natural and you just deal with whatever they dish up, eh?
Yeah, like I kind of look forward to any changes that they bring, like whether that's like how the cars handle or new tyre models and things like that. It's always fun to get a fresh drive and driving experience really out of the cars. And
I feel as though we also look forward to seeing what they're going to drop in the way of new content as well, new cars, updated venues, new circuits. So the challenge keeps evolving, doesn't it? You never get too content or comfortable in this caper because they're always finding a way to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I'm really just crossing my fingers each and every time that comes end of season for the big patch updates for that rain one to pop in there.
Oh, yes, mate. You and me both, mate. Looking forward to that immensely. Greg Heaney, let's bring you in. Stay with me, guys, because I'm going to give the floor to Liam Banks one more time in a moment if I've missed anything along the way here. But, Greg, let's welcome you in. If memory serves... I'm well, mate. If memory serves, you were piloting the Ford around last season, were you not?
I was, yes. I felt like a change this season, went for the Ferrari instead. So.
I was going to say that would appear to be a little bit of an upgrade, yes?
Oh, look, I was driving the Ford fairly quickly for what I thought. Good to see that one of the other guys has now decided to take the reins on that one. But no, I felt like I'd give the Ferrari a crack. I'm a little bit more comfortable in the Ferrari. There's obviously a little bit more availability on setups and stuff for the car, and you can tweak it a bit more. So a little bit more user-friendly, I think.
All right, let's cover off the two important things here. Well done on the top 5 finish, up 3 spots on where you started. That's point number 1. But it could have been a little bit better. But unfortunately, you're a little bit too friendly on the throttle coming into the pit lane and missed the braking marker to hit the pit limiter, yeah?
No, it was actually I missed the left-hand turn after you jump after you come off the circuit into pit road.
Yep.
I didn't get it slowed up enough for the left-right, and then I made the pit limiter line without a problem. It was the corner before that shot myself in the foot. So here, have a 40-second stop and hold. I'm just watching me tumble down the board. I'm thinking, oh God, where am I going to end up?
So that was for what they give you as far as an official reasoning is concerned, an unsafe entry, or
unsafe pit entry.
Yeah. And it's so easily achieved, isn't it?
Oh yeah, on this track, because it's almost a blind approach to that corner. You can't really see it, especially when you're approaching it in 5th gear, 6th gear, depending on what you pulled the corner beforehand.
Yep.
And the slowdowns hurt. Otherwise, I probably would have kept up with Mark at some point. But I gave myself a couple of slowdowns trying to catch him, and it hurts so much on this circuit.
Absolutely, because as we said earlier, speed is king, and if you can stay in the toe, all the better for it. And if you lose it, well, enjoy pushing the proverbial for the rest of the night. That being said, mate, a great result in a 90-minute race where so many of your fellow competitors ran into trouble. With the exception of a couple of slowdowns and 40 seconds to catch your breath, it looked relatively uneventful.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was hoping so much that Sean Reeves would actually somewhat catch me, so he could actually work together to catch Mark, and then maybe drag Mark along and try and catch the next car in line, but just couldn't quite stay on the back of me.
Not only that, but also you get a little bit bored and lonely going around on your own. So company and someone to play with would have kept things spicy.
Yes, most definitely.
Oh dear. Hey guys, I've got to put a full stop on this because we've got to get out of here. But thank you all for stopping on by. Liam, just quickly to put a full stop on it before I let these blokes go. Have I missed anything? Is there anything else you want to ask them on a parting note?
No, nothing else I want to ask them. But congratulations all around. Everybody in here had really good results, particularly Foster and Benici, and glad we didn't get in the podiums in the amateur split. I mean, Denchi we expect to be at the front, but seeing those three get a podium was a good return for some solid racing.
Indeed it was. Hey, guys, thank you. Well done. Good show. Good performance. Strong results from all of you. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table when we get to the island. And just a reminder, I know Mark Foster was delighted that we've been broadcasting the AM split the last couple of weeks. We will bring you race 1 of the AM split next week, and then race 2 of the pro split, and then the final 2 pro races of the season in the 2 weeks after. So you still got a bit more airtime to come, Mark. So spread the word on that so that everybody can enjoy the spectacle because the M racing this season has been red hot. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
And
Great race,
also,
everybody.
like to second the thank you for telecasting the AM split too. So
happy to do it, and well done to the club for taking the initiative to actually spice things up and reinvent the wheel in that manner of speaking a few seasons ago, because again, gives a few more of you a little bit more exposure and a little bit more airtime, and that's what we're all about. Go well, guys, for the rest of this week. Liam Banks, Driver of the Night nomination for you, and some final thoughts, because, I mean, the GT4 entree at Virginia seems so long ago, but it was really entertaining. Great to see the two Sams bring it home 1 and 2. Jordan Malcolm threw it away very late in the piece, and there were a couple of other incidents as well. But then you get to Le Mans, you see Denchi do it on 3 stops, and Denchi do it in 23 laps, and Denchi punch out a 3:53. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. There's nothing new about that with regards to the pro split, and he's got one hand on tied on number 7, if you can believe that, and that's 7 on the trot, by the way. But here in the AM split, a cavalcade of hard luck stories, but also some good ones as well.
Yeah, and one that's a story a bit of both, and the driver who I'm going to give my nomination to for the GT3 driver of the day is Kevin Coleman. Really strong form for most of the race, in the battle for the victory, arguably odds on for the victory, and then a couple of incidents and the disconnect really hurting him, but yeah, he would be my driver of the day. I thought the way he started the race was seriously impressive to pull up that almost 5-second gap at the lead of the race about halfway through was probably the best driving we've seen all night. It's just a shame that even before the disconnect there was an incident, and the disconnect really not deserved. He definitely deserved to be on the podium, even with those mistakes. We saw a lot of the field making mistakes in the amateurs, and he just happened to have that disconnect, but almost thankful that he had the instant before, otherwise it would have been a disconnect from the lead, a clear lead. So
yeah, exactly. And that would have been a cruel way for it to end. I mean, it was still cruel in any sense of the word, but it would have been crueler, if I can say that, had it been when he was leading the race. And we've seen that before, but never gets any easier. Hey, Liam, great job from you tonight. Hopefully you can avoid some sort of carnage in GT4 next week when we get to Aragon. And looking forward to your company for GT3 from the island as well.
Oh, I'm so keen for GT3 from the island. I love the island. It's such a good track. It creates such good racing regardless of the cars. And yeah, I'm hopeful for a clean race. Almost got to the end of this one. Well, actually, I was going to say relatively clean, but I got hit in turn 1, and then some people span in front of me and I hit them and like lap 4 or something, so it wasn't clean before then. But maybe next week. Probably just need to be a bit faster and more towards the front. I always qualify right in the mid pack, which is the danger zone. So
I think you've just echoed the sentiments of about half the field. Just need to be a little bit faster and a little bit closer to the front. Well done.
Yeah.
Covered off just about everybody else's problem as well. Thanks, mate. Have a great week.
You too, mate. Take care.
There he is, Liam Banks. Very nicely done from him. We do it every Monday and Thursday night, and the occasional Sunday afternoon as well, with thanks to the people scrolling across the bottom of your screen, ladies and gentlemen. They include Orbic Australia, Waste Options, Blackout Electrical Solutions. Hang on. We're not fading anymore. We're swiping. Have a look at this. It's like we're on Tinder or Bumble. Login Systems, Astute Insurance, Finance and Wealth in East Brisbane. Although that being said, finance and Brisbane don't exactly go hand in hand when you get to the daylight saving window. Fisher and Door Lawyers. And Flash Graphics. I often say that if governments had to operate with their funds and their finances and their money the way that business does, they'd actually be a bit more economically intelligent about the way they go about spending money, and that is reflected by not just Queensland's stance on daylight saving, where they lose $4.5 billion per annum, but the economic and business and tourism sector does anyway. The other thing is, you look at what it's going to cost Victoria for getting out of their Commonwealth Games contract, $380 million, for goodness sake. That's just, you may as well have gone into the urinal and had at it. Anyway, there's the updated championship standings. My goodness, 106 points the advantage for Matty Dench. Now, that's now taking into consideration and into the equation the drop rounds and what that does to the standings. And Denchi's got a mountain of drop points there at his disposal. Oscar Glissett on 240, 238 for Simon Cox, who finished 10th tonight. Not the best run for him, nor Oscar Glissett, actually. Nick Wood has moved up into 4th place. Richard King, Wayne Hewitt, Glenn Arnott, Alan Holgerson, Richard Mitchum, and Matt Distill, the top 10. But already, I mean, what's that? 178 points separates 1st and 10th at this point in time. Just 4 points between 7th and 10th, so that's spicy. And 3 points between 5th and 6th, and 5 points between, actually 7 points between 2nd and 4th. So it's nice and spicy behind Dench, but again, as has become standard procedure, tradition and custom, it's one-way traffic. It's Dench first, Daylight second, and then everybody else fighting for the minors. Have we got updated AM split standings as well, Adam, or not?
So I do. I'm just going to give you a caveat. Good luck working out. Good luck working out who went where, because the combination of the drop points as well as tonight's race has shaken things up immensely. I don't think anyone's in the same spot.
All right, let's have a look at this. Dean Eldridge is the championship leader by 12 points. Mark Foster's got 3 over Adam Holland, who has 1 over Sean Rees. 4 points separate 2nd and 4th at the moment. Got to make every post a winner here, boys, going forward to the next 3 weeks. Neil Gladwin's shot up beautifully. 190 plays, 189 for Stephen Gallacher and 188 for Sean Benici. So again, you've got a situation where you've got 3 cars separated by 2 points. 2 points between Greg Heaney, Dale Sharp, and then another 4 back to Tim Fuge to separate, or to round out, I should say, the top 10. 21 points between 5th and 10th at the moment in that championship. And Eldridge holding on by 12 points at this point in time. 4 different manufacturers in that top 10 as well. Ferrari, Porsche, McLaren and BMW. And it's 4 of the Porsches and 4 of the Ferraris. And Daniel Correa out with the flu tonight has dropped down to 13th place. So he couldn't really afford that drop round, but he had no choice.
Top 12 covered by an endurance race win.
It's a great fight in this championship in the AM split. There's no doubt about that. The pro split, of course, going beautifully for Matt Dench, but behind that, oh boy, spicy. Dean Eldridge and Neil Gladwin hold the lead at the moment for Twitchy Foot. 438 plays Side Hustle 402. This is the team's championship. The first of the pro split entries is Nick Wood and Richard Mitchum. Also Twitchy Foot 402, 385 for Side Hustle, 371 for Wayne Hewitt, Alan Holgerson, and 348 for Richard King. Matt Dench, all on his lonesome, 346 in 8th place. Mark Foster, all on his lonesome, 236 in 12th place. And Sean Rees just behind in 13th. So some lone soldiers going along nicely in what is otherwise a 2-team or 2-player effort. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and remind you of what's ahead in week 7, and then of course we'll go and have a look at the start of week 8 as well. Tomorrow night, the Toyota 86s from Summit Point. Oh geez, that'll be good fun. Race starts 7:50. 3 sprint races, the order of the proceedings there. The equation at play. Wednesday night, Detroit Grand Prix Belle Isle. 3 sprint races for the Formula Ford 1600s. That's followed by a trip to the Chicago Street Circuit. So it's an all-street affair on Wednesday night, and sprint racing there too for the supercars in the Elite and Development splits. Thursday night, we're back with you in the Mustangs from the Watkins Glen Cup Circuit, which has just recently hosted NASCAR, of course. That will be round 7 of the Production Car Challenge. That's on broadcast. Daniel Correa, Sarah and I with you from 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then off to Silverstone, Legacy Silverstone, for the British round of the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup and a 40-minute race there. Friday night, we take you wings and slick style to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Oh, geez, that will be good fun. 2 sprint races there, 8:15 the start time. Bathurst in the Formula Fords, a real open wheel flavour to the end of the week here. Bathurst in the Formula Fords is the assignment for Mountain Men Saturday night, 8:30, 32 laps there, and then week 8 commences next Monday night, our last hit out of August on a Monday night, for the Motorland Aragon circuit, playing host to Orbic Australia GT4, and then on to Waste Options GT3, and we take you to Phillip Island, and we'll bring you one of each. The first race in the AM split, the second race in the Pro split. Looking forward to that immensely, and all of that is live and exclusive to the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. GSRC.myshopify.com or merch.tgsrci.com takes you to the same place. Get in there now. Renew your memberships if you're a member. Sign up if you want to sign up. Buy some merch if you're just a general supporter that doesn't have an iRacing rig. And plenty of great merch available for purchase there. That's it from us. We are done on a Monday night. What a Monday night it was. 90 minutes around Le Mans never disappoints, even though it was a little bit processional in the end. There were a couple of stings in the tail. That's iRacing for you. And that's Motorsport. She's a cruel, fickle beast sometimes. There were a couple of stings in the tail as weather crept in for Dale Sharp. Fatigue kicked in for a couple of other drivers. But in the end, Sean Benici was too good here in the AM split. Matt Dench too good in the Pro split. And, of course, earlier it was Sam Chapman getting the job done in Orbic Australia GT4. For Liam Evans and Adam Lavis and the rest of the broadcast commentary and production team, thanks for coming along for the ride. Really hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. On a parting note, well done to Spain, denying England of World Cup glory last night at the end of what has been a marvellous FIFA Women's World Cup. Unlucky to the Matildas, of course, bowing out in fourth place after losing to Sweden on Saturday afternoon. And, of course, if you're waiting for the big-time sport to start up again, you don't have to wait too long, because the World Athletics Championships are underway this week in Budapest, Hungary. A friend of the club, Michael Angus, is over there at the moment. Then, of course, this weekend, the World Basketball Cup gets underway. The Boomers in action there Friday night. And then, of course, next Tuesday morning, Eastern Standard Time, last of the majors for the world of tennis, the US Open, the fourth Grand Slam of the year, gets underway. So the big sport just keeps rolling on, complementing all the local sport, wrapping up winter local sport and the start of the summer season with the cricket not too far away. And the same can be said at the national scene as well. Footy finals not too far away either. So we've got a lot of sport to keep an eye on. Formula One back this weekend as well after their summer break. But the GSRC all season round, all year long, she keeps rolling on. We're back with you on Thursday night and looking forward to that. In the meantime, from all of us here, I'm Zach Caban. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for coming along for the ride. That's the way we do it. See you next time. Bye for now.